adopting board meeting agenda policy and authorizing the clerk to administer agenda guidelines.
Is there a motion?
Yes, so moved.
And yes.
Yes.
I have a resolution entering into memorandum of understanding with the Ohio Secretary of State and the Warren County Board of Elections for participation in the state of Ohio's electronic poll book reimbursement program.
So moved.
Yes.
And yes.
I have a resolution approving reappointment to the Warren County Port Authority.
Dr. Pickering?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes.
And I'm abstaining.
I have a resolution entering into an engineering services contract with Woolpert Incorporated on behalf of the Warren County Engineers Office.
I'll make a motion for that.
And yes.
Yes.
I have a resolution approving the emergency replacement of the fire alarm at the engineer's office Corwin House facility.
Hey, Crystal, or maybe Martin, in the notes, you indicated there's some other procedure that they're going under right now. Can you just, what is that?
Yeah, actually, it reminded me sort of my wife at a nursing home. If there's a fire alarm that is disabled for whatever reason, then there are certain intervals that staff have to go through the building on an individual basis and check it. So that's what the Fire Watch is, that's what Fire Watch.
It's called Fire Watch.
Called Fire Watch.
Okay, great, thank you.
And yes.
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 I have a resolution advertising for bids for the fiscal year 25 Franklin Township Staley Road repaving CDBG project.
Yes.
Yes.
And yes.
I have a resolution appointing Joshua Moyer to replace Paul Kendall as the Warren County 911 coordinator within Technology Services due to retirement.
Yes.
And yes.
Yes.
I have a resolution entering into contract with Kinnison Excavation Incorporated for the Dale Acres Sanitary Lateral Replacement Project.
Yes.
Yes.
And yes.
And the final resolution is approving the emergency purchase of bubbler air compressors for the Lynn and 122 lift stations.
Yes.
And yes.
And yes, you can tell what time of the year it is just by what's on our agenda. A lot of construction happening in the next few months. Any add-ons?
That's all I have.
Okay, great. So next, Teresa, I'm gonna botch your name. Teresa Machezak? Mayshak.
Much easier than it looks.
Okay, Teresa, if you would please come forward. Teresa's from E-Beam Services, and we have a resolution here to proclaim International Electron Beam Day in Warren County. So, do you want to just say a few words about E-Beam and what you all are doing?
Yes, usually electron beam technology is kind of happening in the background, making healthcare products safe and making materials stronger, polymers stronger. And once a year, we like to just celebrate the amazing technology, give it the recognition that it deserves. We're very happy as electron beam service provider here in Warren County. The commissioners, the Port Authority have been very supportive of our growth. We thank you for that. And the amazing things that Jobs Ohio does that are happening in the high schools for workforce readiness makes us a wonderful place to do business. So thank you.
Well, we love that you're doing business in Warren County. Do my colleagues have any questions?
I've been around long enough. I was here when you guys first came. I remember touring the facility, and it was like, what do you guys do? And it was super interesting, and yeah, it's awesome that you've grown so much, and the marketplace likes your services.
Absolutely, thank you.
Well, we are happy. We have a proclamation, and we can do a quick picture if you're okay with it,
Please.
with the proclamation. And I won't read the whole thing to you, but I think that this piece is, I think, interesting, is that it was the discovery of the electron on April 30th, 1897, and so this is the technology that is developed that is a clean and energy efficient tool used in lots of industries, providing safer, more sustainable alternatives for sterilization, material processing, and environmental remediation. So we're thrilled to have you continuing to do business in Warren County. I look forward to being at your open house later this week, I
We're
think.
excited to have you, yes, on
And-
Thursday.
Yeah. So with that, we'll come down here and grab a picture with the proclamation.
Thank you.
All right, we'll try and get in front of the seal and the flags. Very good.
Okay.
Awesome,
Thanks
congrats.
for being here today. We'll see you Thursday.
How many employees do you guys have?
We have 85 employees.
Awesome.
Okay, we now return to our regular programming, as they say. Ray Dratt is here from Building and Zoning to discuss building inspection service contracts.
Good morning, Commissioners. Ray Dratt, Director of Building and Zoning. Also with me is Michael Gladwell, your Chief Building Official. The Building and Zoning Department is here today to seek your approval to evaluate our out-of-county contracts and/or agreements. Our objective is to ensure that Warren County is properly compensated based on those jurisdictions' growth and county expenses. We currently have 3 jurisdictions that fall within this category. Our goal would be to assess each contract individually and either continue at a renegotiated rate or terminate.
Great, so, I mean, I remember as you've come before the commissioners seeking approval of these sorts of contracts, at the time it was, we had some excess capacity and we could use that capacity by lending them out or contracting our employees out to do some of these services. And so I'm gathering that based on the workload and so forth, that you think there may be some challenges with us subsidizing some of those activities.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so, well, we definitely want you to be reevaluating those. You know, we don't, the things that we do, we wanna make sure are value add for our taxpayers. We don't wanna be subsidizing other communities where, those taxpayers aren't paying for their own services, so.
Yes, ma'am.
Any feedback from my colleagues, or you're just seeking our sort of guidance to go ahead and move
Yes,
forward
ma'am.
on that? Okay,
Yep. I have
any
no
issue
problem.
with that?
Nope.
Yeah, no, when we started the program, it's gotta be a good deal for us, number one, and then it should be a good deal for the people that choose to use our services. And, you know, that's a subjective thing of how's that a good deal? And when they don't have to set up an entire department and they're outsourcing it to us, that's great. And if our folks have capacity, but when we talk about getting busier and adding staff, then there's a real cost to us because we're adding staff. And then, you know, are we being compensated in a manner that makes it, again, the fair deal? So, yeah, 100% we should be reviewing this.
Great. And when do you think you might be back?
We'll get on this ASAP within a month or so, I would say. I'll work with Susan and Martin and Bruce and make sure that Some of it will take time. If they want to renegotiate, they may have to go out to bid, stuff like that, so we'll get it to you ASAP.
Okay. Appreciate your diligence. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Now would be a good time just to bring to your attention that we have been sued. Is it City of Middletown? I'm sorry, not Middletown, but Wilmington.
Wilmington.
Yeah, Wilmington. We've been sued. City of Wilmington was sued related to property owners bringing claims because they approved they're in the process of approving, but they do have some of their approvals for one of these new data centers. And because we provide the service for building inspections, our employee got named as well, but they have a duty to indemnify us. There is an additional insured provision, so their insurers should provide the duty to defend us, and we'll tender that to them, just bringing it to your attention. That's one of the things that can happen when we go out and contract with these other communities. We've done nothing.
Yeah.
Our building inspector's done nothing, because it's not that far along in the process, but yet he got sued for purposes, I think, just to enjoin him from issuing any building permits because of everything that's transpired there.
Well,
Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you so much. Next, Lisa Dickerson will be here to discuss the 2027 Warren County Capital Improvement Budget.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Lisa Dickerson, Finance Director for Office Management and Budget. Thank you for letting me speak. I'm coming today. Susan Loeffler and I have been working on a capital budget process that we would like to present to you. This would be a proposal that would bring to you to discuss the 5-year plan for facilities and technology services. We would present it, discuss it, agree upon it every March. Mostly talking about current projects that are going on right now, the current status of our buildings, 5-year project to include timelines, anticipated costs, funding sources, and that type of stuff. Once it's all agreed upon, we would sit and discuss with you, agree upon it. It would be included in our December budget that we would, along with all the other approvals at the end of the year. It's kind of simple like that. It's just kind of looking for guidance on what you would expect and what you would like us to do. This year, we would like to start this in March of 27. This year, we're kind of doing like a hybrid just to kind of get prepped, making sure everything is where it needs to be before we present the full thing to you. But we want to make sure that you are aware and any suggestions and guidance you can give us.
Well, how is this different from when we're normally doing our budgeting for the next year, and we're always looking at any monies we're spending, and we of course budget for all of the offices, etc.
Yeah.
But of course we're budgeting for capital. So I mean, the public needs to know that we actually build facilities in this county.
Yes.
For a variety
A
of
lot of
different, a
facilities.
lot of facilities, right. And so that's what you're talking about. You're talking about the capital improvements for
Yes,
those
capital
facilities.
improvements.
So for example, what current facilities are under construction or we're currently building? I know we have some.
Right now, I think we are looking into the facilities building, the criteria for the facilities, and moving on to, after that, human services building. Why we would want to do this in March is to kind of pull it out and give it some attention, make sure that you are aware, and we all are agreeing, and see the 5-year plan and where we're going, and so that, just give it a little bit more attention than it needs, and make sure everyone's on the same page.
So we've always sort of done this
Yes.
during our regular budgeting.
Yes.
And we have, the facilities plan, and so we've been
Yep.
working off of that. But what I recall, Susan, you brought forward to us during our budget presentation is perhaps we should just have a separate process for our capital budget so that there's more kind of insight around to what because we are so conservative in our planning, we save a lot of resources for out years for construction projects that we know are on the table. And so this would give a little more insight into, we always knew what we were saving resources for, but it wasn't necessarily widely understood until the project was kind of next on the table and we started, you know, procuring things. Is that
Right, and
right,
I
Susan?
think what's kind of happened is that we have a 5-year facilities plan, and we end one project, and we're kind of, you know, trying to get a meeting to talk about the next one, and this kind of sets a meeting each year, because it can get lost when we're doing the annual budget, when we're talking about every, you know, court budget and every budget in the county. So this kind of pulls it out. We still are going to put money aside annually for future planning, but this allows for us to meet a set time every year and discuss that 5-year plan that we have set up for telecom and facilities, which we're developing. Also, we want to make sure that projects and yearly services are in the right funding lines, and that we can clearly see what funds we have and what funds are needed moving forward, and project that. And so, and that's just that planning. And that way we're always keeping you all up to date, and you get some guidance from you all yearly. And it's a set time, and we can meet other times if things are going on with different projects. But I think if we meet one time about a 5-year plan, 2 years later, sometimes you all, you know, we know because we're working it, but we want to make sure you guys are always updated and in the know of what's happening next.
Well, I feel like I am updated and
Yeah.
in the know, because we do discuss all of this at our regular budget time. But what I do think the advantage is that the public doesn't necessarily know. And so, you know, we save a lot of resources in certain buckets that become one-time resources. And it appears as if there's this huge, you know, carryover balance, but in reality, they are not yet encumbered, but to be encumbered, so that we can properly plan for the continuous growth we have. So I think that this is an important strategy to put more insight into it. And the other thing too, I think it helps us, is we always look to not keep any more resources than necessary for the operations of government. We always look to returning those taxpayer dollars to the taxpayers when that occurs. I think this would give us better insight into that too. So I think this is a really good strategy. You don't need any action by us
No.
at this juncture.
No.
Right, I think it's a good strategy too. I just wondered why we would want to do it as opposed to a normal budgeting process. But given the fact that we have very substantial costs related to building new facilities, can be multi-millions of dollars, and considering the fact that we, of course, when we receive tax dollars, we're putting away money, knowing about these things, and we have large reserves. People can ask questions about our reserve levels, but the fact is we are in anticipation of very, very large funding of very significant facilities, which we have built in the past and we're going to build in the future. And at the same time, as Commissioner Jones mentioned, we have done something that's really unprecedented. At least I'm not aware of other counties that do this, and that is when we find that we have excess funds, we basically not taxed the next year. Or we've given a portion of our regular property tax revenue and we've not taxed. And we've also encouraged some of the other county entities to not tax because of their level of funds that they've got in reserve. So the public needs to know how careful we are, not only in terms of our spending, because we have the lowest effective property tax rate in the southwestern Ohio area. We have one of the lowest sales tax rates as well. And we're very judicious with how we spend money, and we're very cognizant of the fact that it's not our money, it's the public's money. So we have done something, I mean, we're doing it again this year, we're studying to, once again, not charge certain portions of our inside millage on our property taxes next year. So it's very important that we know and have I think what you're doing is you're doing even a broader outlook, and that I think is worthwhile. Thank you.
Susan, Lisa, have we not been encumbering money into a separate capital account? Because I know, like when we did the jail, you know, we had a separate fund set up for that. When we built the prosecutor a new office building,
Yes.
we planned, we set money aside, and it was encumbered as opposed to being in the general carryover fund balance.
Yeah,
what
we
we're
are.
talking
We're
about?
kind of like right in the middle right now.
Both
We're
and.
kind of in the holdings,
Both and.
until we get the criteria report, we'll start moving that money until we get a better
Well,
idea.
and I think at the facilities plan, the whole entire plan, sometimes we wait till one building's done and then talk to you guys and about moving forward. So we're not always putting money in, although that's why that general fund looks so high, that carryover, because it's not always being moved around until you all approve the next phase. Or this allows for us to approve the entire plan and be encumbering that money where it needs to go for each of those projects, because like one building can be 20-some thousand, or 20-some $million. So, and that was, 3 buildings down
Well, our
on the
jail was
plan.
almost $60 million.
Right.
So-
Right,
So it's
So,
not inconsequential.
right, so what this kind of makes it a little bit more, and I think that transparency was a good way of putting it, and taking it, we're still accounting for it in the annual budget, but we are having a meeting that we're just discussing that, to give that attention to those, topics and where that money needs to go. And it's not that we don't have the money, we clearly do.
I mean, systemically, when you have the capital budget plan that we have, and we've worked with facilities for almost 20 years of, it was very reactionary back in the day, where all of a sudden, we would just defer cost, or just like with the sheriff, buying new cruisers, punt it down the road, and then all of a sudden you'd get a huge bill when it came in, as opposed to actually effectively planning for that, and then encumbering the money, setting it into a separate fund, which again, in the big picture, well, why would you do that? That avoids debt. We have an aversion to debt. We hate debt. We don't have any debt. And so, that saves taxpayers boatloads, I think is the technical term, in cost on not borrowing and doing it ourselves, but having that plan, and then, when a roof has a limited time life, and we know we have to do that. So, I encourage us to actually do this, set aside
Thank you.
specific funds for specific capital expenditures that we know are coming.
So Lisa, you think you'll be coming back when?
So, we'll include most, like, this fall in our annual budget.
So
You'll see,
during-
you'll see a plan, but the actual process of doing it in March will be kind of our kickoff for the whole
Okay,
process.
so you're
Kinda like-
saying this is gonna be sort of a transition
Like a little hybrid year, yeah, we're kind of doing the old news.
But then in the
But you will-
future, it would be March
Yep.
to start.
Yep.
And it's the beginning of the construction season
Yes.
too, which kind of makes some sense. Great, well,
Alright.
thank you
Thank
so
you.
much, appreciate it.
Okay, next item on the agenda is to discuss funding relative to the Middletown Event Center. Lee, are you, I don't know who's starting us off here.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Todd Duplain. First of all, thank you for having us today. I'm a principal with Woodard Development. We are the developer for everything other than the arena. I don't know exactly, Martin, or how I can get this on.
She's good over there.
I do. So the arena is in what I'm gonna call purple. That may be a different color to everyone else. We're the developer of everything else. I drew the slot for the first speaker, which usually means one of two things. Either let's get this out of the way, or let's blame Todd for everything that follows. Either way, I'm gonna be brief with your time. I wanna highlight 3 points for you all today as you consider your support of the arena. First, I want to thank you, because this has been a long process. This has been 3.5 years. And over this journey, the county and the city, I think there's some city representatives here, have proven, at least from my perspective, and it's just awesome to see that Warren County and the city of Middletown are not just compliance driven, they're also very mission driven, and that really matters. It matters to me, and I think it matters to this project. The best communities that we've worked with, and I've been doing this for close to 30 years, have 3 things in common. They have high expectations of their economic development function. They have high expectations or high support for their economic development function, and they don't just spend, they invest. And that's exactly what we've experienced here in Warren County, so thank you. And we're not asking you to invest alone. We're investing right alongside you, which I'll get into in a minute. Second point, I believe this project delivers some unique benefits to Warren County and the city. Over the next 7 to 10 years on this site, which is about 50 acres, we believe there will be a vibrant collection of restaurants, entertainment options, residential options, etc. And we do a lot of mixed-use development, and great mixed-use development doesn't happen by accident. It follows a pattern, from my perspective. And that pattern is, first you need a destination-oriented kind of amenity, like the event center, or an anchor. That's what the arena is. And those amenities drive people. And people drive rooftops, and rooftops drive talent and workforce. And then finally, talent and workforce drive employment and further investment. This project delivers the first two elements, amenities and rooftops, from day one. The other two elements, talent and workforce, employment investment, will come thereafter. And make no mistake about it, from my perspective, this is a pattern right out of the Warren County playbook. You have run this play better than any community I've ever seen. Third and last point, I want to outline the alignment of risk. This group is not looking for Warren County to be the first or only capital at risk in this project. The city is already at risk. They purchased the land, I think, over the last 5 and 10 years. My entity, Woodard Development, is at risk. We signed up for, on this project, a 30-year, $25 million TIF guarantee, which myself and my partners are personally guaranteeing. And I hope you interpret that commitment as a testament to our belief in this project. And additionally, going forward, we expect, again, my entity to invest another $80 million into the site. So let me end by saying the arena isn't just part of this project, it's the heartbeat. It is the engine that turns this from another development that is used locally into a destination that is enjoyed regionally. Thank you.
Thanks, Todd. Commissioner Young, Commissioner Grossman, Commissioner Jones, my name is Lee Cloget, and I am the President and CEO of Community Center Partners of Ohio. Joining me today, you saw kind of march in a minute ago, are a few of the key members of our development revenue team. And I underline that word revenue, because our team is quite large, including architects and engineers and lawyers and planners and so forth. So today, we want to focus on that issue. I've asked each of the members to speak briefly today on their experience, their role in the project, and some key metrics that pertain specifically to support the financial success and the sustainability of the project. The organizational chart illustrates the key members today that include Eastern Sports Management, Mr. John Wack, who is the president and CEO, is here today. Bradley Payne Advisors, Andrew Bossart, one of the principals, to talk about the capital structure. Entertainment Events Inc., EEI, Mr. Tim Flaherty and Sonia Flaherty is the president, CEO, and chief operating officer. Icework Ventures out of Alberta, Canada is here today, Eric Monteith and Chris Perriton. The YMCA is present with Mr. Mike Bramer, who is the president and CEO. Ancillary revenues today will be discussed by Ron Chambliss, chief operating officer. And finally, Victus Advisors, our third-party feasibility analysts, are here from Park City to speak specifically to that aspect. I want to briefly discuss a broad overview of the scope of the event center, which I think is important, as Todd said, to the centerpiece of the 50-acre development. The event center project is being developed, as Todd began to allude to, as truly a public-private partnership, privately financed through taxable and tax-exempt bonds, and will be owned.
I'm sorry, can you go back to, how is it privately, publicly partnership, the event center?
The private aspect of the model? The private aspect of the model is the bonds are being sold to private investors.
But there's no actual private dollars being invested, it's just the bondholders, correct?
Well, the bondholders are the 100% of the capital structure of these instruments, because they're designed as special purpose revenue bonds to be 100% debt. That's how these are structured.
But is there any, is any private company, when you say, I just want to be clear on terms, private-public partnership. Public's guaranteeing part of this capital structure, and then individuals or institutions are buying the debt. But there are no direct investments into our friend at Woodard. No one's writing a check to be inside of this event center other than bondholders, right? They're financing it.
Yeah, and Andy probably could better answer this because he's a banker and I'm not, but my experience in doing this for 35 years is that the underwriting structure, of this instrument being special purpose revenue bonds is all debt. There is usually never an equity requirement in these type of underwritings, but if there is, case in point, the city and the port has committed ARPA funds that behave as equity, even though it's going to be reimbursed at closing. That is the only equity contribution, because you cannot have private ownership in the asset. For example, my company could not invest, even though we are invested into this, I cannot take an ownership position in the arena. It has to be owned by either a nonprofit or by a government entity, because they're tax.
For a period of time. I mean,
tax
this is the model we used with the tennis center, and there was public and private dollars that went into that. So when I would want to make sure
Yeah.
we're clear on the terms, public-private partnership. When we did the tennis center, government came in with $130 million, and an individual came in with $130 million. In my definition, that is a public-private partnership. It is not public is putting together a deal and then selling bonds to individuals or institutions. That's not in.
Yeah, and you're absolutely correct. And I just wanted to make the point clear that in this underwriting structure, the tax exempt nature of the bond issuance, as required by the IRS, is again, no private ownership of the asset. Because we're actually punished when we have private use.
Right, and again, the Port Authority owns our tennis facility. It is owned by the public, but that is a public-private partnership because there's private capital that is benefiting from this public investment, and they also co-invested. So I just want to make sure we're.
No, you're right, and I just want to make sure that we all understand that the underwriting requirements of the tax exempt bonds prohibit private ownership. So I can't go out and sell 30% equity to Woodard or myself to take an ownership position in the asset. I can't do that. Now, if we decide that the bonds want to be all taxable, that's a different story. Then we could have private ownership in the asset, but because it's tax exempt, that's prohibitive. So I'll just leave it there if I answered your question. Thank you for that. So the asset today is scheduled to be owned by Warren County Port Authority, and a focus on community involvement in sports tourism and economic development. The architectural plans on the project are 100% design development complete. The project has been competitively bid out, and the plans reflect an event center of approximately 161,000 square feet, showcasing a performance arena that's centered around an NHL-sized ice sheet with spectator seating for 3,200, including 12 suites and loge boxes. Converting the ice by covering with insulating protection, the performance arena becomes a venue for concerts and events. I think we spoke about that last time, Commissioner Fussman. Where the performance arena becomes a venue for concerts and events, including floor seating, where the capacity of performance arena becomes a 5,000 seat facility with that floor seating application. Complementing the performance arena is vital for tournament play, and we have 2 NHL facilities, 22 locker rooms, and supporting spaces for office, retail, a team shop, and meeting rooms. The food and beverage component of the plan features several settings, including a 150-seat sit-down restaurant and 2 bars for the public, accessible from the north entry of the facility. Some of the supporting activities occurring each day of the year, the arena visitor will find convenient grab-and-go locations, event kiosks, featuring concessions for food, snacks, and drinks. Adjacent to the event center complex, a headquarter limited service hotel, home to suite, is planned, approximately 130 rooms, which will behave as a headquarter hotel to the facility. Those drawings are 100% complete design development. The hotel will be privately owned and privately operated. Under the experience management and of leading sports and entertainment partners that are here today, the Event Center at Renaissance Point is being planned to host a variety of organized semi-pro, amateur, youth sporting events, concerts, conferences, trade shows, convocation, and conventions. Anchoring the center and providing a base for business and community credibility, an expansion of the United States Hockey League, or USHL, is being planned, and those gentlemen are here today from Calgary. This new hockey team will star in 32 regular home games each season, and adding to the hockey mix, an international tournament provider will be populating facilities 3 ice sheets with regional, national, and international tournaments. A national concert and event promoter has been retained, and Tim Flaherty, President and CEO of EII, is here today, along with Sonia, Chief Operating Officer, to speak to the model, and who has advised the sponsoring group that hosting Tier 2 and Tier 3 concerts and events in a performance area is the approved business model. The second and third sheets of ice, labeled Community 1 and Community 2 rinks, will be active, supporting tournaments, practices, games, sport camps, and other training and development programs. The Event Center will be a hub of training, education, collaboration, and community involvement. Numerous local and national potential tenants of the Event Center, including amateur and youth sports organizations, development school programs, and operators, fitness providers, tournament operators, and entertainment companies will populate the center. The mix of participants and sponsors, as I mentioned, including USHL, which is a junior hockey franchise and a Tier 1 in the United States, will be the anchor tenant in the facility. A developmental youth sports academy is programmed, as well as local and regional competitive youth hockey organizations, figure skating, learn to skate programs. The YMCA is here today and will speak to those youth programs briefly. The Port Authority has emphasized the importance that this project is to the broader community, with opportunities for involvement in teaching, training, and excelling. Most of these local youth programs have signed letters of intent with us, similar contracts with the Port, emphasizing demand for ice time, event space, and community involvement. Additionally, one of the key revenue components of our financial models I mentioned earlier is something we define as ancillary revenues. Ron Chambliss, our Chief Operating Officer, is here today to speak to that shortly. Closing our presentation today will be Victus Advisors, who performed a third-party market feasibility study and revenue validation analysis for the Port Authority, and he'll discuss some aspects of demographics, competition, and revenue validation. So I'll stop here, and I'm pleased now to introduce Andrew Bossart with Bradley Payne to speak about the capital model. If there's any other questions. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Andy Bossart with Bradley Payne Advisors.
Don't rush our day away, it's still morning.
Did I say afternoon? Oh, I'm sorry. Good morning. So I know you've seen some of this before, but really just want to highlight some of the different pieces of the financing and how it's being put together. And so what we have before you is, if you will, 3 separate components. One is a senior lien tax-exempt bond structure that would be issued in the realm of about $75 million. And that would fund to the project about $50.7 million to the project fund. We have moved around on the sizing of this structure because of changes in the market. We originally were at a coverage ratio of 1.5 times, and that would have produced a higher bond issue. This structure, in terms of what the market and working with Barclays, has indicated that they want about a 1.75 times coverage ratio. So that has moved this originally, like I said, from a higher number down to a lower number, which has then pushed us into a situation which we're before you today on, and previously, relative to that split second lien bond structure of $25 million. If you recall, half of that is going to be backstopped by the city of Middletown. The other half is requested that the city, at the Warren County, utilize the Economic Development Fund to support the other half of that. That will help get us into a structure that gets the bonds rated and down to a 5% level for those two blended yields relative to that structure. That will fund about $18.4 million to the project fund. The final piece is what we call a super subordinated lien bond issue that would be sold out in the market as well. You can see the interest rate on that is relatively high compared to the other components relative to the risk. That funds about $25.5 million in bonds. We have some other, you see in that capital stack there, some other sources of revenue that some have been spent already, others have not, but about $4.1 million of county ARPA money within the whole project scope, and then about $3 million from the city ARPA money as well. So that combined with that bond structure funds about $33.3 million for a total of a little over $100 million relative to the project construction fund. The rest of the components down below fund capitalized interests, operation and maintenance fund, debt service reserve fund that will be there for if there's a shortfall in revenues that would be utilized to make a payment, and then cost of issuance as well. The main revenue sources that are pledged to pay this back are the operations and revenues from the facility. If you recall, there's also a new community authority that's been put in place over the entire site, Todd site, and the arena. And so a food, beverage, and retail charge will be applied on each transaction within the area. And then as the hotels come on board, and Todd site, and then at the arena itself, an additional 3% NCA hotel charge would be put in place. The city has put in place a TIF district, and so those revenues are going to pay for their financing that's outstanding currently. Excess revenues from that, which we believe there will be in working with Todd on those projections, we think are pretty conservative. Those will flow through the waterfall and then go towards debt service as well, in addition to a $5 million property tax charge within that area. There are some other TIF districts that the city has pledged that are currently under construction. There are others that could be added down the road, and the NCA could be expanded as well to bring in other development if that would occur around the area. So that's the capital stack. Those are the revenue sources that are designed to pay this back. Happy to answer any questions relative to that.
So what is the total debt service projected? I know, depending on interest rates, where are you projecting the actual annual debt service to be?
On the senior lien piece? The senior lien
Somebody's
piece,
writing a check for $125 million worth of bonds. What is that total?
the senior debt service is right around, it starts off about $5 million per year. And then raises to 6.
I mean, I'm talking about the aggregate debt service on this project. What is it? It's more than $5 million.
Well, then you add in the other two pieces, so we're about $7.5 million a year, roughly.
I was thinking it was over 9.
Well, we've got to have some coverage ratio in there, so, I mean, total revenues in general, we've got to be in excess of that number. I think 9's a little too high.
So the amount, so you're saying that somewhere between 7 and 9 million is the amount of money that will be owed each year to cover the costs of the financing, is that right?
The debt service per year, that's correct.
That's what I'm talking about. And does that include, how does the debt, so is the servicing just the interest on the debt, or does this also include the payment of the principal back?
Interest and principal, correct.
Okay, and is the principal being paid back every year as well in installments?
We start off, yeah, I mean, it depends which component you're looking at. With the senior debt, we sort of rise over time, but the investors are going to want principal being repaid in the earlier years. They don't want to see zero, interest only, if you will, for a period of time, because then they get concerned about their bonds being repaid. So yes, principal is being amortized over time.
Have you already got the structure of how the bonds are going to be structured and how they're going to be paid?
Well, a lot of that's, as we get to the market and what the investors, there's not, this kind of financing, the senior bonds is not, for example, when you sold the sales tax bonds for the county, there were multiple investors. It was rated, there was a different sort of investment pool. This, we're looking at 2 to 3, maybe 4 investors at the most.
So if this thing, let's just, so if, for example, bond payments start being missed for some reason, and the bondholders decide to bring a lawsuit against somebody because they think they've been misinformed, who are they gonna sue?
Well, there's a whole list of folks. I mean, obviously, they're going to go after
I guess I'm really interested in whether they're gonna sue us.
the county
Yeah.
commissioners. No, you're insulated from that. Now, the Port Authority will be drug into that because they were the conduit issuer.
So the Port Authority could get sued.
The Port Authority, by nature, would, as the issuer of the bonds, they would have to be. Now, the pledge on the bonds are strictly the revenues that have been identified in the financing package.
No assets, so the event center's not being pledged to support this financing.
What they would have the right to do is to come in and replace the manager and take over, in essence, help take over the facility. Bring in a new manager is what the bondholders would want to make sure that they get it right. That's the process that would occur.
And what would change an underwriter's opinion on a coverage ratio? I think that's an important point. Why,
Yeah.
if somebody's going out to their institutional clients and saying, let's go, we want you to step up and place $125 million worth of bonds, what would typically change an underwriter's opinion on the coverage ratio, which is basically saying, just in case, it's wiggle room, right?
Yeah. You know, the market in general, I mean, if there was a major blow up in the credit markets, that would change an investor's viewpoint as to what they would want to see with the coverage ratio.
But there hasn't been.
There hasn't been.
And rates have been coming
are you-
down. So actually, they're hedging on this particular deal. Barclays, I assume is the underwriter that you're.
That's correct, yeah.
Has actually, in the absence of a major blow up in the credit markets and with rates actually falling recently, the
Well,
coverage ratio has been going up.
There was a bit of a blow up. You have the Brightline deal down in Florida, which still has not been resolved yet, and that's still kind of hanging over the high yield market. So that's been an issue. There was
That's the train.
that's the train between Orlando and Miami. And so, you know, and that puts some stress on the available dollars and high yield. And so, you know, those type of things impacts viewpoints of an investor to want more coverage. You know, we've talked about it before, the situation out in Phoenix with the Village Center, the soccer facility, sports facility, that was more fraud than it was performance. They never got a chance to perform because, you know, fraud ended up happening with that situation. And so that sort of hung over the market for a while.
And so again, from the public's perception, you've been our investment advisor for a long time, and we've always appreciated you. Can you please explain the difference in, you keep using the word high yield.
Mm-hmm.
So is that a great thing, or tell the public what a high yield bond is versus what a AAA rated Warren County bond?
You know, there's a lot of different terms. A high yield, non-investment grade, a non-rated. That's that category. And you know, there's a huge market out there for it. It's not like these deals, what they call project finance transactions, come through the market. I wouldn't say weekly, but I would say maybe bi-weekly, and in different forms. So it is a market that's out there. You know, the investors, compared to investing in your bond that's rated, they can know what it is and the security behind it. They take a lot more due diligence associated with looking at whether they're going to invest in these structures, and so they'll come out.
Well, I think you have credit ratings, right? You have AAA, AA, single A, unrated,
Right.
and this goes into the. If you're
It goes
talking about
unrated area.
Unrated, which is considered in the it's junk bonds, right? And
There's a lot of different terms for it, but
Yeah.
you know, we don't like using that term. We
I know, but that's
say
what,
high yield.
that's what Wall
Yeah.
Street calls it.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, that's the verbiage on that. So essentially, at least a portion of this $125 million issuance is going to fall into that unrated category,
correct.
right?
That's correct.
Issued by the Warren County Port Authority.
Which, you know, is, even if, for example, a TIF revenue bond, a lot of these things are start out that way because there's not a history. And that's really the fear factor of it, right? Is that the investors relying on professionals and their reports and their independence of producing those reports to decide whether or not they think that this market's going to make it or not.
And I think that's a great point. So essentially, there is no track record with anything involving this, correct? There is no track record.
I mean-
You have projections from professionals that are doing studies, that are coming in and saying, if all these things align, if we can pull this off, if we get it built for this price, if we get all these things coming together, then it should produce this, and we hope. And then you're saying, bond market, buy our hope, essentially. That's done every day.
It is done every day. I mean, so and obviously the professionals that are performing these reports and putting them together is looking at market demand and things of that nature. Would this work down in, I don't know, middle of Iowa? Probably not, right? Because there's not demand. And so they're looking at those issues too, demographics and things of that nature relative to the county in between two major metropolitan areas. There's a lot that goes
So
into it.
supply and demand of the product is important.
Absolutely it is, yeah.
Okay.
Are the bonds gonna have a trustee?
Yes, they will, yeah.
Do you know who
US
the
Bank,
trustee will be this morning? Is it gonna be a bank?
the US Bank has done it. There's probably 3 or 4 of those in the country nowadays that do that.
You know,
that
I've
kind of work.
represented US Bank as a debenture trustee before. So you think that US Bank is gonna be the trustee?
Yes, that's what we've identified, yeah.
So the total debt service is 7 or 8 million-ish, something like that?
Yeah, I mean, it starts off a little bit lower, Commissioner, and it kind of trends up over time as we stabilize.
Right, I don't want the, buy now, pay later projection. What
Absolutely.
is the debt service? I mean, it's gonna be up around $9 million, right? 8 to 9?
Yes.
Okay. Supply and demand is important. These are unrated bonds, but they're being issued by the Warren County Port Authority is issuing these bonds. And why don't you, again, for my colleagues in the public, my own edification, that if the projections are not correct, if this doesn't work, who's actually it's not coming back on government per se, we'll talk about that in a second, but the other $100 million that's out in institutional hands, if it doesn't perform, the Warren County Port Authority issued these. They've done a tremendous amount of due diligence and said, we're putting our name on this. The project doesn't work as projected, much like sales tax in Hamilton County didn't work as projected. So all of a sudden, these bonds falter. Who's defaulting on the issuance?
Who's defaulting on the issuance?
Yeah, I mean, it's the issuer, right?
Well, it's the issuer, yeah.
So so if it didn't work, the Warren County Port Authority would be defaulting on its bonds, correct?
Correct.
Okay. But you're saying they don't really have much in assets other than what this board's given them in income that they've.
Well, the only assets that the investor, again, they've got all
It's
these
tied
other,
to revenue-specific bonds, it's tied
Right.
to this project.
and they've got
which
all
is-
these other bonds issued that to the bond fund or other conduit structures. Those are not affected. Those are all.
Would that affect a reputational risk of the issuer if you have a major issuance default?
I mean, I think if you did it several times and the port's always issuing bonds that are defaulting, yeah, I think in that case it would. One time, I mean, these situations happen in the marketplace, unfortunately. I wouldn't say, I live this world, I wouldn't say I see it on a weekly, monthly, basis, but it does happen. And again, when you look at the official statement, that's the offering document that's going out to potential investors, I mean, it's pretty clear, this is the risk you're taking, this is the obligation you're buying. Nothing else is pledged to it except for the revenues that are identified in the trust indenture.
Right, but it's like Orange County, California, when they defaulted on they didn't exactly get at the top of the capital stack issuing forward on when they started issuing.
So okay, that's a good point. I mean, if the county was issuing GO bonds to do this deal, right, as an example, and you defaulted and walked away from it because you said, oh, no, the revenues were supposed to pay for it. Yeah, that's a problem, right? Because then everybody's like, well, Warren County's not living up to their obligation, what they said they would do. So that's reputational risk.
And so on the stack number 2, on tranche number 2, where you're talking about this $25.5 million being split, can you talk a little bit more about that? What exactly is being proposed?
So that would be a joint sort of credit between you and the city. and the city would obligate, I believe in this case, non-tax revenue to the transaction. They could also obligate income tax revenues if they like. We haven't really nailed that piece down yet. But they are willing to backstop it with their financial, performance. Yours is isolated to the Economic Development Fund, and so that would be that $10 million that would be put over there, which is the concept here. And then obviously backstopped, that fund is by your casino tax revenues that.
And what is the amount of that obligation that we're committing to?
The bonds will be 12.5 each. If you're asking about the annual debt service on that, it's about $800,000 a year depending on interest rates.
Yeah, I'm no math major, but I think $813,000 times 30 is more than 12.5 million. I think it's closer to 25 million.
Well, that's because we got to pay interest back over time.
Okay, so the proposed capital stack, as we call it, is really not Warren County being at risk for 12.5 million. It's more like 25 million.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you want to look at the extreme case, if there was no dollars coming in.
I mean, you're our financial advisor, shouldn't we, if we're doing due
Absolutely.
diligence,
Extreme
should we
case
not
would be
talk about that?
$813,000 a year is what you should
Times
budget
30,
on, yeah.
Which is almost $25 million.
Correct, yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Well,
So, and we are obligated, we're paying the $813,000 starting right away, right? And I thought hopefully that's going to be reimbursed by revenues from
The
the
performa,
facility.
I mean, if the performa lives as is, you're paying zero out of pocket.
But we're paying it and then being
No,
covered, right?
no. The
So we're not-
revenues from the facility all the revenues that we talked about are paying for the debt service on an annual basis. I mean, it could be, let's just say in year 4, if there's a hiccup, there might be a $300,000 payment. But it's really dependent upon the revenue streams of the waterfall coming through after senior bonds are paid. If there's enough money there to cover the debt service, there's nothing out of pocket to the county.
all right, so is this a separate bond issue, the 25.5
It
million?
is, that's correct, yeah.
And those bonds are, but we're obligated, we're signing, who's signing on who is the issuer of those bonds?
It would be the Port Authority.
But you're saying that we're obligated if those don't pay, the interest and principal is owed by the county?
That's correct.
All right, so I want to, because the
Through
question
your
I
Economic
was-
Development Fund that was established.
Okay, I understand that. But it's our money, our fund, our county asset. And if it is not paid through the revenue stream of this project, what is our obligation? A county obligation. I'm not talking about that. Because are you just saying it's the port? Or, no, it's not just the port. It's us, correct? It is the county that is obligated to pay off if the project doesn't have enough income to pay those.
That is correct.
Okay, and so what is I mean, I know that I went through this all with you before.
That's okay.
That's why I did it at the last meeting. So our real risk is to pay the face value of our obligation on those bonds.
The
which
debt
includes
service on
both-
that.
Well, it's more than debt service. If the principal doesn't get paid, the people that are owed the principal are gonna be looking for that, aren't they?
Yeah, so that $813,000 number that I give Commissioner Young is the principal and interest on a yearly basis.
Well, I understand that. I'm saying if for some reason, I'm just talking worst case scenario, I'm sure that this is not gonna happen, right? And I'm sure that Charlie Keating and the people that did Lincoln Savings and Loan and had debentures for the Phoenician Hotel thought that was gonna work too.
It's a heck of a hotel, by the way.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. It's a very nice hotel. And I was the lawyer for US Bank. They were the debenture trustee on that deal. And that all went totally south, partly because the government came in with the Phoenician and they decided to say that its value was way lower than it probably was. But it wasn't within Mr. Keating's or Lincoln Savings and Loans control. But in this case, I want to know if for some reason this event center doesn't perform the way the anticipated, your projections are, and then you're not covering the yearly payment for principal and interest on these bonds, the people that are owed that money, they're probably going to complain. And they're going to want to be paid. Either going to want us to forward the money to backstop this each year, to make sure it's paid each year to the tune of what, $800,000?
That's correct.
And we'd have to be paying that for how long if it's not performing?
25 years. Yeah. So, I just, and just to be clear, it's only your portion. That's the only thing
That's
that they
right.
can come to you for. The
Well,
senior tax
City of
exempt
Middletown
bonds.
is covering the other part of it, right?
What's that?
City of Middletown's covering the other part of it?
They are, of that 25 million, in the middle part of that stack, the senior and the subordinated, you've got, they can come and complain to you all they want, but you have no obligation to pay a dime.
Andy, what classifies, so again, on 3 tranches of bonds, the senior notes, what classifies senior versus super subordinated, which is kind of the riskiest? And obviously the interest rate on one is 7.5 and one is 9. So
Mhm.
what's the difference in the two?
Just in terms of where they fall, in terms of the revenue flow through the waterfall. So the super senior lien is below everybody else. That's the main difference.
So the other bondholders, the first tranche of bondholders gets paid first with any revenue?
That's correct, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do they get paid before government gets paid on the second tranche?
They would, that's the waterfall, that's the whole reason why we're trying to, again, improve the cash flow and by adding this in.
Sure. But I think that's an important point. Actually,
Yeah.
I didn't think about that before. So if there's blank amount of revenue that's coming in, it's not 20 million, it's 12 million or whatever, that's coming in from the center, the offering documents are stating that the senior secure notes are getting paid first, the government notes get paid second, the third tranche, super subordinated, gets paid third, correct?
That's correct, yeah.
So essentially, the government portion, we are standing behind senior note holders.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Andy.
Good questions, yeah. Anything else?
Nope, thanks.
I think I'm supposed to introduce the next person. John?
It's me. You ready to have fun now?
See if we can bring you back to earth, because we're the ones that are going to be in the trenches producing this revenue. My name is John Wack. Thanks for having me here this morning. I'm the founder and president of Eastern Sports Management. We are a sports, entertainment, and event facility designer, constructor, and most importantly, manager. We've been at it for 22 years. We've got currently 12 facilities in our portfolio with another 6 in the pipeline. The first 2 of our facilities we designed, constructed, and financed ourselves privately, and we still own those facilities. Our company is founded on a culture of risk management financially because of the obligations we took on in our first facilities. The industry changed over time, and everything that we've done, and I use this term with a little trepidation, but is a public-private partnership where public entities are creating facilities and they turn to the private sector to manage them. And so frequently, as in this case, those are done with tax-exempt bonds. So we're a fee manager under a qualified management agreement per IRS rule. And so our job, because we have the experience in the private sector, when we come over and are partners with the public sector, it's to bring that experience to bear to maximize revenue and minimize expense. Our mandate typically in these projects is both to serve the local population as a recreational asset, but also to generate economic impact through events, sports tourism. The management plan that we will bring to this facility, and it may sound very simple, but it's to maximize revenue and minimize expense. We do that through maximizing utilization of time and space. It's a physical asset. It has a schedule. We've got to bring as many people through there as possible. When we get them into the facility, our job is to maximize sales to them through other products other than the core one, which they might be buying when they walk through the doors. We also have both a culture of and an obligation to maximize our operating margins. And to do that, we have to perform on many of the products which are being sold in here. We've always needed, because we have owned our own facilities, to be both creative and aggressive in filling the facilities. Just as an example, our first facility, the one where I'm from, Fredericksburg, Virginia, that has hosted dog shows, bridal shows, trading card shows, consignment sales, sneaker shows, wrestling matches. In our other facilities, we have track meets, swim meets, tournaments of all types, and of course, concerts. In this particular facility, we are the general manager and the traffic cop. You saw the graphic at the beginning of the presentation that showed us in the center with all of the other entities around us. We're going to be performing through our staff directly employed by us on much of what happens in that facility, on the food and beverage, on the sports programming, schedule management, very critical as we have to maximize it, building management, on the parking, marketing, financial management, and human resources. But we will be relying on this all-star team that has been put together for this project to bring the financial results up to where they need to be to meet the obligations on the bonds. Lee mentioned them. We've got the music and events team. We've got the YMCA on youth programming. We've got the folks from the USHL executing on high level for ice sports and hockey. And of course, we've got high levels of sponsorship dollars coming into the facilities. Do you have any questions for me?
Did you create the pro forma?
We participated in the creation of the pro forma. Some of the elements of the pro forma were generated by some of the partners who are executing on some of the products in the building, but we assembled it to make sure that there was no overcounting, double counting. And then when it went to validation through Victus, we worked with Victus. They brought in data that they had, and we
You just said you
reformed
had
it.
substantial sponsorship dollars.
Correct.
So we have commitments on those?
So as of yet, no, but Ron will be speaking to that when he comes up.
Okay. And who's going to run the music side of this?
Your next speaker.
Okay.
I'd like to introduce Tim Flaherty from EEI. And to be clear, we're going to be executing on many aspects of that, meaning the employees that will be cleaning it, that will be serving the food, that will be taking tickets.
Right, you're the operator.
We're
in the
operating.
Every day you're in there doing the
We
stuff.
will have some marketing responsibilities with that within our team, that will have both our corporate and an in-house marketing team, but he's the core of the music experience too.
Great, thank you. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today about the concert and live entertainment component of the Renaissance Point project. My name is Tim Flaherty. I'm the CEO of Entertainment Events. With over 30 years of experience in concert promotions, theatrical touring, and productions through my company, I've been brought in to lead to help program the 3,000-seat Renaissance Point Arena. Today I want to focus on the market reality, the calendar gap Renaissance Point will fill, how the venue will be programmed, and the economic value this will bring to your community. First, the market reality. Within 75-mile radius of Middletown, there are at least 11 active, profitable commercial music and event venues booking shows today. You have the major promoters, MEMI, Live Nation, ASM Global, and AEG Presents. They're all active in this region. Demand for a live event is proven and growing. However, none of these venues occupy the same niche that Renaissance Point will fill, which is a modern, year-round 3,000-seat arena right here in Warren County. This leads directly to the calendar gap that Renaissance Point fills. 4 of the region's largest music venues are outdoor. You've got Riverbend Music Center, Rose Music Center, PNC Pavilion, and Phrase Pavilion. These venues are going to be completely dark between October and April. That's 40% of the year. That during those indoor months, Renaissance Point will have a clear advantage, significantly greater availability than competing venues. Venues like those at the Aeronaut Center, which I'm very familiar with, they're booked anywhere from 200 to 250 nights a year. Renaissance Point is targeting
Can
just
can I
30.
stop you on that? So you're saying the competitive advantage versus some of the other venues is that you're indoors, so there's an advantage. You're not an outdoor amphitheater, so.
You're in inclement weather.
You can have things in inclement weather over the fall into the winter.
Correct.
I thought there was a ice hockey team that was gonna be there during the winter.
Well, they will, but half their games are gonna be away, so that will leave vacancy. It's really a real estate play. I mean, we're basically trying to, as John spoke to, maximize availability in the room. So when the room's available, we'll try to program it. I think one of the advantages is being in Warren County. We're not competing with Cincinnati, we're not competing with Dayton. We're competing with residents right here. I'm sure all of you have driven into Cincinnati or Dayton to see shows. Would you rather do that or see it right here in your backyard?
When you mean compete, you mean competing to get the public to come to your center? Or to come
Yeah, I think the public will go where it's convenient for them. I'll use my wife's great analogy, but we have a Trader Joe's in Scottsdale, it's 45 minutes away. We'll make the drive because we love Trader Joe's. But if there was one 5 minutes away, we wouldn't go 45 minutes into town. And I think that's the main thing you have here is that you have this brand new facility, 3,200 seats, 5,000 with the floor. It's right here in Warren County. It's in the affluent area. You want to keep all of that money that's going into Cincinnati and Dayton right here in Warren County. All that leakage, everything that an event brings, whether it's going out to dinner beforehand, maybe getting a hotel afterward, parking, obviously the restaurants, all the other services that you utilize when you go to an event will be happening right here. And that's where your dollars will be staying. The program is going to be anchored by hockey, as you brought up. The hockey games are going to be consistent community events. They're going to bring people together from all across your community, both on weekends and weeknights. The recurring traffic that's going to build, the energy, the identity, and the habit around this venue is going to come from the hockey component. The concerts are going to be scheduled around that anchor. So we're going to be filling in. Like I said, when the team's out of town, those will be opportunities for us to fill the room. In the summer, when we're competing against Rose, we're going to be looking for things that we can do indoors versus them doing stuff outside, which then has weather risks. Renaissance Point's also going to align programming with all the other things that you can do. Conferences, festivals, whatever's happening in the district, we can provide programming that will help support it. It's called thematic programming. This will again have a direct impact on the local community. Renaissance Point, with the continued population growth in this area, I think it fills a clear gap. Like I said, it's a brand new state-of-the-art facility. It's right here in Warren County. It's not in Dayton. It's not in Cincinnati. And I think that the community will hopefully embrace it. This approach will deliver consistent visitation. It should support local businesses, and it will generate reliable economic impact across all seasons. So, thank you.
I've got a couple questions for you.
Sure, shoot.
So you're not just a play, I mean, you're actually super important to this. So you're in charge of the music side of this event center, correct?
Programming, yeah. Entertaining.
And
I wouldn't limit it to music.
okay, but on your pro formas, you've got music concert venues, and then you also have programming on top of that, correct?
Okay, correct.
And so tell me, and I think you kind of left out the part, so in your basic business model, when you're going out and attracting talent, and you're going for kind of the second, you're not bringing Taylor Swift here, you're bringing second or third tier folks.
A really good Taylor Swift tribute.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be good, right, I get it. We'd all be there every night if we had, well, maybe I wouldn't, but that would be, you have different levels of acts.
Correct.
And so there's a niche for 2,000 to 5,000 seat arenas that attract maybe yesterday's stars, 80 stars, things like that, right?
Sure.
They still draw people in.
Correct.
Can you tell us the two different ways that venues actually promote those? There's kind of two different ways of doing it, right? There's
So from
where-
the marketing side?
Well, no, from an actual at-risk side.
Mm-hmm.
Who, in your model to generate this revenue, there's either, we have a facility, we built this $120 million nice indoor arena, and now, hey, Mr. Concert Promoter, we'll lease it to you for the night, pay us a fee, and you put on your show. That's one model, right?
Correct.
The other model is we, or the group that actually owns the venue, will go out and hire the talent, pay the fee, and then if 1,000 people show up and it loses $80,000, that's an at-risk model, correct? Which one is Renaissance Point?
I imagine Renaissance Point is going to be, for the most part, they're going to try to keep all the revenue in-house. I mean, you could certainly rent the facility. That's not the best way to utilize or generate revenue. It's the safest way.
But when you say they're going to, isn't that you? I mean, if you're leading it.
Yeah, my job will be primarily trying to buy programming that I think will sell in the market, that will be routing in the market, and then my expertise over 30 years of doing this and negotiating with agencies and managers all the time, I'll try to make the best deal possible for the venue. There's a myriad of ways to make a deal in the entertainment world. I mean, you can offset some of the money with giving some back to the promoter, putting them at risk on a co-pro. It can be entirely at risk for the Warren County Community or Port Authority.
But again, you're giving hypotheticals. I believe in the pro formas that has been presented not just to us, but also potential bondholders. It was more of an at-risk model to generate the maximum.
Correct.
amount.
That's correct.
So we can't talk about other things. We're talking about there's real projections of real revenue that's coming in, and that's being sold. And our bond investor in the back, we start saying we're changing that. No, that's what we're telling them we're doing.
Correct.
You can't go and change that.
Then I won't.
Okay, so now we're saying that this is an at-risk concert promotion venue.
Correct.
Okay, and it's also, what, 40-something% of the total? That's what I'm saying, you're a very important piece of this pie. You're about 40% of the projected revenue.
Okay.
You are the largest piece of the revenue
That's my
pie.
understanding, right?
So essentially, just so everybody understands, it'll be great to hear from the hockey folks or whatever. And I don't want to say hockey doesn't matter. Hockey's 15% of the revenue. You are the biggest individual piece of that revenue. So essentially, our proposed facility is really getting into the county. The Port Authority is getting into the at-risk concert promotion business.
Yes. I mean, you have a room that is going to be available to fill. You also have the backstop of you've got this hockey arena with all the families that are coming, all the activity that's being brought into this community. My job is to book 35 shows a year that I think are going to sell anywhere between 75 to 80% of the room.
And 35 shows, is that somewhat aggressive? Is that normal? Is that light?
It's very, very conservative, actually.
Oh, really? The folks I were talking to said that's pretty aggressive.
Who's
But-
that?
Well, everyone from Live Nation to.
So
the
Live
Rose.
Nation does 90 events over the summer and 5 months over at the Rose.
Sure, but when you talk about competition and filling a niche, I mean, people drive for concerts normally. I get, you don't wanna go an hour and a half, but within a half an hour, 40 minutes to go see your favorite band from the 80s. So right now, we have the PNC, and I'm not talking about Riverbend, but the PNC Pavilion at Riverbend is 4,100 seats. The Taft Theater is 2,500 seats. The Brady Music Center is 4,500 seats.
Yep.
The Rose Music Center is 4,200 seats. Miami Valley Gaming Outdoor Facilities, 2,500. Faze Pavilion's 4,300. And then you have the private enterprises from Lloyd's Roadhouse, which is 2,200. Riverfront Live, 2,000. JD Legends, 4,300. And then you've got the tennis facility saying they're going to start getting into that business also.
Okay.
So there's a lot of competition, right?
There's always competition. Yeah.
No, well, not always. I mean, some of the venues
No,
out.
usually, if there isn't, they'll come. I mean, competition will always seek, wherever they can make a buck. You've got 3 million people between Dayton, Cincinnati, and Warren County. Will we be competing with other people? Absolutely. But they're all different. And again, I'm going to lean into the fact that we're in Warren County, and that is something that we should embrace.
Yeah, I'm familiar. Is the Covelli Center, that's one of the, in the report, again, I want to talk to you about it because you're, in my eyes, you're the most important piece of this whole puzzle because you're bringing in the most money.
Okay.
And so the Cavelli Center, you're familiar with them?
Yes.
If I'm saying that right. It's about twice the size, and according to their pro formas, they bring in about 7.8 million in concerts. The Grossinger Arena is more than double the size, 1.8 million. Let's see, Hunts Court or something, 9,000 seats, 9.4 million, and we're projected to bring in like 8.4 million just in concerts. So we think we're gonna, the folks that are already in the business, and I can say that the Rose Pavilion doesn't do anywhere near that.
Well, they do 72% actually, so they're doing about 3,000 a night, over 90 shows, over, I'm sorry, they do 90,000 in total attendance every year. So they're selling 72% of their room. So if we can fill that gap and do 2,500, we should be okay. If we can do 3,000, you know, we're even better.
Okay, that's helpful. So again, I just want to.
But it's a good comparison because they're doing 90,000 people in 5 months. We've got 12 months out of the year. We're indoors, so we're not dealing with inclement weather.
Is it easy to switch? So you have, and again, I'm no expert in arena management, but you have ice that's down, and once the ice is on, the sheets of ice are there, do you just put a top over it and then you hold?
You're going to turn the room, yes. You're going to turn the room. I mean, that's what every facility does across the country. It's a real estate play. You have real estate, you want to take advantage of it, you want to maximize it as much as possible. So that gives us other advantages. You know, we're not stuck to a calendar that's just 5 months out of the year like Rose. We've got 12 months. We've got the team when the team's away. We've got an open facility. You know, we're just going to have to fill avails, and we're only trying to fill 35.
Right, and then when you're talking about the non-concert size, it's over 3 million. So 11, basically 12 of the 20 million is on your shoulders of bringing in revenue.
Okay. I mean, it's going to come from 35 dates, and if you sell the dates, it's going to be okay. If you don't, it won't.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
But you know, that's the market. That's what we're competing against, and I think it's definitely doable. And I think that again, we're going to lean into our advantage, not our disadvantages.
Well,
and the
definitely
advantages were right here.
doable is kind of different than, that doesn't make me feel as confident if you say it's definitely doable. I want to know that this is a high level of confidence that this is going to work out.
There's definitely a high level of confidence. You're dealing with data every day. You're dealing with, you know, if I'm looking at acts that I'm bringing in, I'm looking at their Polestar data. I'm looking at what numbers they're bringing in. What is the deal that they're selling me? Can I get a better deal? Because I know they're routed and it's a midweek. I mean, this comes with 30 years of experience of doing probably, I settled about 7,000 different engagements. So there's that breadth of experience that you can't teach. But my goal, and again, with all the data that we have, we're going to have a pretty good idea of what the show is going to sell.
But this event center also has 2 other ice rinks, and you're going to have a team that is, I guess this is their home ice.
Correct.
Where they're actually going to, when they are playing, they're going to be playing in the area that is the primary area that you're going to be using for other events, correct?
Okay.
And so how many games are they going to have a year, and what is their season?
I would have to let that to the
Okay, I was
ice arts
just,
guys.
so you didn't look at that already to determine how you would function with them?
Well, I'm going to function where I work on availability. So when
You don't know what that availability is at this
we're
point?
2 years out and it's a spec, we're talking about this project right now, but no, I have not been given a calendar.
Okay.
But let me just finish.
No, you should.
ASM, they're going to give me the calendar
I'm not-
availability, correct?
I'm not being hostile at all, I'm just asking the question.
No, it's a very simple question, but again, I'll be given a calendar to fill, and then my job is to fill it.
Well, isn't your projections based upon knowing that data?
We made sure when we settled on, and we had help from Victus on this. Victus wanted to make sure that the projection was as conservative as possible. So when we came up with the 35 concerts, and I think it's 25 other events total, so that we made sure that that was compatible with the other things that are going to demand weekend time over in that part of the facility, which was the ice hockey and other activities. All of our sports programming that we're relying on, tournaments, etc., can occur on those lower two. When we don't have a show or programmed hockey, we can use all three rinks for tournaments. So there's an interplay between all of these projects, and that's our job, is to manage that schedule and to juggle those assets. We tell him what's available, and we tell him to fill it. And on the, as far as an at-risk model, with as many products as possible, we're trying to maximize the operating margin. So for instance, for the food and beverage.
Well, in some ways, you have to get the numbers to work to actually pay the debt. So you
Correct.
have to try to maximize, right? I get it.
Yep.
But I just want everyone up here to be clear, we're getting into the at-risk concert promotion business. That's our primary business.
So I've been in this business for 35 years, my entire career.
I'm not
No,
questioning it.
I don't know any other business that's not at risk, because I've only been in one. But it's very much at risk, and it always is, but you mitigate risk, and you mitigate risk on all
No,
sorts of
we already
areas.
talked about it in the concert business, we could just be the venue
Well,
and
then you
collect a
just-
fee.
You could just collect rent.
So you just contradicted yourself. So
I
you
don't
don't
see
know
how.
any other business, any other way to not be at risk. I could have this and lease the room. I'm not at risk.
Okay.
You're saying, I'm going and paying
You still
somebody.
have to go find the leaser.
That's
Who's renting the space?
I don't know why you're arguing with me. You're
No, I'm
saying
not.
there's a risk
I'm
or
just,
an at risk.
I'm not arguing, I'm just pointing out that you're looking at, if you're gonna rent the room.
I'm saying in your business, there's an at-risk model and a lease model. Where someone, you both agreed to it, that you're trying to maximize the revenue. The at-risk model, you make more money. I get it. Or I've got a room and I'm renting it. I don't care if anyone shows up.
Let me see if I can explain this. So, I was running a facility a few years ago, and we had a monthly lease that we had to make. We had our liquor liability, all these things that we had to make every month. Is at risk. Now, we could rent our venue, but then we would have to rent it probably, I think it was like 250 nights a year. That means we have to find those renters. Or I could start bringing in shows that are going to be at risk, but I think we have a good chance of success. So there's a constant balance.
I'm not arguing the validity of either model. I'm saying there is two models. Your models, your financial projection is getting the Warren County Port Authority in the at-risk concert promotion business, period. That is what you're proposing.
Well, I don't think that's accurate. I mean.
How's it not accurate? It's the majority of the money that's coming in is from concerts. That's our biggest line item. It's right here. 8.4 million of the 20.4 million.
I've seen it all. I've seen it all.
So, and you're saying the concert promotion portion of this is using an at-risk promotion model, where the venue is, again, you're paying, Bon Jovi $100,000 or whatever, they're more than that, but you're paying somebody this fee, and if 1,000 people show up and it loses $80,000, that's on the venue.
Well, there's lots of ways to offset that risk, but you're trying to get revenue numbers up, right? So you can either rent the facility, but then your revenue numbers aren't going to be there at the end of the year. You're just not going to get there by renting the room.
I get it.
No, so I understand. So then you want to take advantage of the tremendous marketing opportunity. You've got a hockey team. You got all these people coming to the facility. Those are built-in.
I'm not even saying it's bad.
No, but I'm just saying as a
producer,
producer, promoter myself, I'm looking at this as a very attractive opportunity.
Fair enough. I'm just making it crystal clear what business we're getting into.
And so from a sports perspective, the wholesale model is pretty much sunsetting because of the fact that facilities cost so much to build. I mean, that's just the reality. We built our first one at a quarter of what we're now paying to build sports facilities, whereas the prices haven't kept pace with that upfront capital investment.
What's a difficult model? I mean, that's why not everybody's doing it.
And so increasingly, as
You just-
facility operators.
We just ticked off about 20 different venues that are all doing it. Right here in
I thought you
the
just said
Dayton,
people
Cincinnati
aren't
market.
building new ones.
No, so now the public is building them, and the operating model on it has to be more retail. Not only more retail, but you have to expand into other products, right? when first facilities like the 3 sheets of ice were built, let's just say 15 years ago, they would not have invested in the level of kitchen that's being invested in here. And the reason that a better, more robust food service is being invested in here is because we do need to execute on the food and beverage to make the operating margin to pay the debt.
Fair enough, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ray. I'd like to introduce Mike Grammer from the Great Miami Valley YMCA. Thank you very much.
Well, good morning. Thank you all. We're excited to be potential partners in this project. I'm going to talk about 3 areas of expertise the YMCA brings to this, our reach, and then the program specifically that we've been asked to provide pro forma data on. So the YMCA is celebrating 175 years in the United States this year of service to our communities. We're the leading provider of childcare in the state of Ohio, but also the entire country. The YMCA, you may know, invented the sport of basketball in 1891, the sport of volleyball in 1895. So we have a long history of getting people healthy, well, active. We bring expertise in program operation, volunteer recruitment and training, child safety, which is critical nowadays from a liability perspective, financial development, facility and project management. So our reach, and I think the reason we're a partner in this is we have 315,000 members in the region to one of our area YMCAs, and that is a huge number. You can double that when you add our program participants, people that participate in swim lessons, childcare, summer camp, things of those nature. I'd like to acknowledge Chris Johnson, the CEO and president of the Countryside YMCA, is also here with us today. Early on, when I was presented with this opportunity, I got Chris together, Jorge Perez from Cincinnati, Del Bruner from the Dayton Y, and Joe Ayers from Lakota. And we look at this as a regional approach for the YMCA to take on what we're experts at, which is getting young people inspired about a sport, inspired about something that can bring wellness to their life and to their family. And so we would be handling the Youth Development Hockey League as part of our portfolio. And I think we're perfectly positioned to leverage our relationships in the community and bring those audiences to this rink and get that experience in partnership with some of our other hockey experts. The communities, activities, programs that we'll be responsible for include summer day camp. We're experts in licensing childcare camps and sites and staffing those and safety. Summer camp is particularly needed in areas for economic development, especially when schools are out. Families need childcare. They need other sites like this. So in the summer, when the ice isn't as prevalent, isn't practiced as much, imagine dropping your 7 or 8-year-old off at a center like this for their summer camp experience while you go to work. And lack of childcare providers in this space, which is a growing concern, means people have to make a choice of not working, which affects economic development. The school field trip program is another part of the model, and that is bringing youth during the school day to the ice for educational opportunities, a little bit of fun, a little bit of wellness as well. We do this very same model at Camp Camel Guard. We bring over 4,000 youth for outdoor education at camp. So it's another way to use the ice and maximize time when it wouldn't be as available. A lot of these facilities, if they don't think through those things, and a facility is dark from 9 to 3 during the school year, tough to make that revenue model work. We'll oversee the multi-purpose space in the facility, so things like wellness classes to augment what we do just a couple miles away at our atrium facility, karate, senior wellness classes can all be done there on site because, again, we'll be able to market to those families while they're there at all those other events. We'll be able to leverage these relationships to, especially with Chris's support, to do programming just in the area to help us get into more area schools perhaps around this part of Warren County. And last but not least, the proximity to our atrium YMCA. We just are launching a new water park. We'll have the ribbon cutting on May 18th. That's in partnership with the city of Middletown. So we'll have water and ice over here. And I think the more of these type of amenities you bring to a community, it just affects quality of life. So those are the things the YMCA is proud to be part of this project should it come to fruition. Any questions?
Thank you for what you do.
Thank you all. Appreciate your time. And the last thing I'll do is I'll introduce our partners on the project from IceWorks, Eric Monteith and Chris Perriton.
Thank you. Morning.
Morning.
My name's Eric Monteith. I'm one of the owners of Iceworks Ventures with my partner Chris Perriton. It's good to see you again. We are proposing to bring USHL team to be the anchor tenant of Renaissance Point. And not to be presumptuous, but I'm going to assume you don't know the hierarchy of the hockey landscape. So I thought it was really important to understand what the USHL is and where it sort of fits into that landscape. You know, the USHL is really the highest level of junior hockey. The junior hockey is 16 to 20 year olds. All the youth players aspire to play junior hockey. The USHL itself is only 16 teams right now, so it's a very exclusive league. If you see through, when you move up through youth, there are some more minor leagues, the NAHL, the NE3HL, they have 30 plus teams. The USHL itself is the feeder league for the pros. So anyone that aspires to go NCAA hockey or onto professional goes through the USHL. And USHL players, 22 of the 24 players in the US Olympic team this year were from the USHL. If we look at the geography of the USHL right now, the 16 teams are situated in the Midwest. Warren County provides an ideal geography for expansion. They're looking to expand from 16 to 24 teams. In a 2-year search for teams and franchises for us to purchase, we landed on Warren County, specifically because of the Renaissance Point Event Center. The 3,500 or 3,200 seat event center is perfect for junior hockey. We play 32 home games. We're able to coordinate that with the concert venue in order to schedule. We also bring that anchor tenancy. It gives us a full-time lease. We're able to fill up ice time during the day when most of that ice would be vacant otherwise, and really think we can bring a lot to the community. The USHL itself, because of that pathway to pros and to NCAA hockey, really does provide a national platform. All the NCAA teams and scouts will have their eyes on Warren County, on Renaissance Point, and on our team, as will the NHL teams. So the USHL really provides a unique opportunity for national exposure. It is the premier junior league. It is really an exclusive and elite league that everyone aspires to get into, and I think will be a true benefit to Renaissance Point and to Warren County. Chris is going to talk a little bit more about some of the ancillary benefits and what we can bring to the community, both as a franchise and as a company.
That pathway that Eric talks about, it really creates an impact here in Warren County. From an economic standpoint, the USHL brings a consistent, predictable activity in this building. We're talking over 30 home games, primarily on weekends. The average USHL attendance for games is around 2,400 fans. That's critical because it drives a reliable and repeat traffic into this area. Conservatively, that's over 50,000 fans and visitors coming into the area directly just to see this team. From an operations perspective, the USHL franchise guarantees millions in local direct revenue through tickets, sponsorships, food and beverage, merchandise. But what really matters to Warren County is that the trickle down from this team. Even if a small portion of the people that come to these games are from outside of Warren County, that turns into hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of hotel nights, restaurants, and that's all outside the building, let alone what's going on inside the building. The main point here is the consistency. That's 30 dates a year that this team will be here and playing games. Our operations will be based out of this facility. That means full-time staff. That means over 100 part-time staff that are working games, plus the opportunities for businesses and other vendors to be supported within this infrastructure. Beyond the economic numbers, there's the community impact. The USHL model is built around community integration. These players will live here. They will go to school here. They will be with local billet families. They will be a part of this community. They'll be visiting classrooms, they'll be on ice, leading youth programs, they will be supporting local charities. This team becomes something more than just entertainment, it becomes a community asset. And the affordability of this team, it's family-friendly pricing. We're looking at a $18 a ticket to be able to come see a game. And we would like to bring a multitude of different hockey programming into this facility as well, looking at the first AAA youth program to support the team within the Southwest Ohio region. This is it's an opportunity. It's not just a chance to bring a team here. This is about creating a reliable economic engine. It's about a year-round anchor tenant. And it's about creating a community-focused asset that people can connect with both on and off the ice. I think this is an opportunity for Warren County to turn this from a project into a destination. And we would love to be able to be a part of that.
So your home games, are they on a particular night of the week, or are they different nights, are they weekends usually?
It is mostly weekends. There will
So
be
you're
the
mostly gonna be
occasional
a
midweek.
Friday or Saturday night?
That typical, or Sunday, but typically, yes. It's a bus league. It's not a fly-in league. So if you look at the geography, there's quite some distances. So they do schedule. One of the nice things about Warren County is if they look, I said they're going from 16 to 24 teams. They're looking at some southern expansion. They see this as a really nice sort of midpoint as well. And so one of the benefits of the bus in is people, they stay here for at least one night, often two. So that does add to the hotel revenues. But yeah, the majority is weekend games.
So it would be, the majority would be on either a Friday or a Saturday.
That's right.
And they usually come in pairs, so they would have a home game Friday, home game Sunday, and then they're gone the entire next weekend.
Or a Friday,
So
Saturday.
really, they take up about 16 weekends.
16 weekends? Oh, okay.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
so when you were talking about 32, you're actually only talking about 16 weekends?
Correct. That's right.
Okay, so the only reason is that I think that's relevant to the other fellow who spoke
sure.
about his events, because I'm guessing his events are gonna primarily be on weekends too.
I mean, if you look at where the other rinks are there, the majority of those are.
Is that true?
No, it is true, but I think that you're also, the other opportunity is midweek. Midweek's a huge opportunity. It's a huge opportunity when you're negotiating fees. So if I can pick up an act that's coming in midweek, that's gonna be at a significant discount to the venue. And an opportunity, again, that we're gonna have versus our competitors. You know, I keep bringing back the Aronoff Center, but I book probably 10 shows a year there. I most recently had a show there 8 weeks ago, and I was shocked to learn that between the JK and their main hall, they had 5 events going on in one day. So availability is going to be an opportunity for us.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not unique, like that model's not unique in USHL. A lot of the venues also host concerts, and we've talked to the
Can you
commissioner
do them
about
on the
that.
same day?
Same day, that's a tough turnover.
Okay, I get it, because you got it completely covered. Now, the other 2 ice rinks, they're gonna be used by this team for practice and things like that?
Correct.
And they're gonna coordinate that with the WISE programs and things like that as well?
Yeah, I think we're gonna be really well integrated into that. Like, Iceworks Ventures runs a lot of youth programming as well, and so we'll be partnered with everybody there in terms of promoting hockey through all ages.
But in terms of the major revenue we're gonna be getting from events, that event center has, and their use of league play in this new league that'll be there, you gotta coordinate that with them.
100%.
And, all right.
I guess in terms of like our confidence and belief, just to give a sense of scale, by the time our day one operation starts here, we'll probably be about $10 million invested in this project ourselves as a company. So we do believe in Warren County, we believe in the Renaissance Point site for sure.
Okay, thank you.
I don't guess I got an introduction. I had to stand up, it takes me a while to get it. 3 minutes.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I had a mosquito bite, West Nile virus, totally paralyzed left side of my body, playing golf in Scottsdale, Arizona, so that's why I do the cane. So I'm Ron Chambliss. I'm a partner with Community Center Partners out of Phoenix, Arizona. I've been asked to give a little update on the ancillary revenue for this project. Ancillary revenues is being defined as opportunities for naming rights, sponsorships, sponsor advertising, some philanthropy, some streaming services, as well as a convenience fee. We have Donegal Associates, as you saw on the chart. Mike Humes has been retained to provide the ancillary revenues for this project. Mike Humes at Donegal Associates knows the Ohio market very well, knows the hockey world very, very well. He was instrumental and the lead person to get the naming rights for the Nationwide Center in Columbus, the home of the Columbus Blue Jackets in NHL. He's presently under contract with Fox Sports doing the monetization of the new UFL that'll be on this weekend on Fox Sports. He also has done a lot of work with the new Memphis Liberty Bowl project, and they have a major sports complex. He did most of the monetization. And by chance, the management of that big complex in Memphis, Tennessee is Eastern Sports Management and John Wack. So Mike Humes comes highly recommended in the marketplace. We do have already an agreement with Mike Humes developed by the Port Authority, run through legal counsel with the appropriate contingencies built in, subject to the successful closing and launch of this project. Also, we have sent this through Victus Advisors and Hundred Partners, as well as Donegal Associates, for validation and vetting. And the revenue sources are the naming rights opportunities. Naming rights for the entire campus, the 50-acre campus, is a naming right opportunity. Naming rights for the 3,200 seat main arena. Naming rights for Community Rink 1, naming rights for Community Rink 2, naming rights for the mezzanine. And then sponsor marketing packages are significant in this project when you deal with 11 loge boxes, private suites, and now that the USL franchise comes in, if you see any hockey game, everything on there is monetized in some way or another. We also will be sponsoring programs. The YMCA's kids program, we're going to be bringing 10,000 kids free into the center in school days, all sponsored. Mike Humes will be leading that as well. As I said, Victus Advisors has validated this. Mike Humes put his projection together. It was a little higher than what Hundred and what Victus provided. Right now, the net operating revenues from naming rights, it's just south of $1 million a year, in the $960,000 range. Mike Humes projected 1.2 to 1.5 million. But rightly so, when you put this through the pressure testing, you get that. So Mike Humes will actually begin, when this closes, he would be retained. He would launch in the pre-opening phase, the generation of this revenue up front, most of this revenue. The agreements are normally done in naming rights in 5-year increments. The sponsorship marketing packages are a little more flexible in 1 to 3 year program. Mike Humes has been on board with us since 2022, impatient, but sticking with us, and we're looking forward to him coming on and starting hopefully this summer, all based upon successful closing. So with that, I would entertain any questions if there are any, and I'll make one other comment. So, if you told me last time, you remember I told you last time we had all the hockey groups in here? One of the things I said very clearly that Barclays requested of us, and we had to implement January, February, March last year, was we had to move everything from letters of intent to contractually obligated revenues. So we have there's 18,300 hours in that place. Time and space, we sell everything. So when you talk about at-risk models, we have 62% of the space between tournaments, hockey programs, YMCA programs, and events, and we haven't even factored in the USHL yet, in here under contingency agreements contracted by council for the Port Authority, and those people spoke to that, And they spoke to their boards about the fee. It's an average hourly fee of $450 an hour. And that's a pretty good accomplishment when you're 2 years out from opening to get that done. And we did that in about 100 days in early 2025. And they eloquently spoke last time. Agreed?
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you.
I was supposed to introduce George Lance from Business Advisors.
Thank you.
Morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
My name is George Lance, and I'm a project manager at Victus Advisors. Victus was engaged by the Port Authority to provide an independent feasibility and validation analysis for the event center. The firm's role is to offer an objective, data-driven validation of business plan and the corresponding projections. Unlike operators or promoters, we have no vested stake or financial or operational stake in the facility going forward. We just want to ground the projections, utilization, and realistic market data as an independent third-party consultant. So we did this in 3 phases. So we created a downside pro forma, a most likely case, and an upside pro forma. So the downside is the lender case, so we decrease utilization by 15%. So that's concerts, ice hockey tournaments, and other events, and everything else basically. We also decrease YMCA attendance and everything like that basically. So in that downside lender case, we still found a positive EBITDA of $7.52 million. In our most likely case, so this is Victus's case, the EBITDA came out at around $9 million. And then the operator case produced by ESM, we thought that was at the high end of a reasonable range, and that was at around $10.6 million in EBITDA. So validation of these numbers is rooted in 2 critical market findings. So we found a regional gap for tourism caliber ice facilities. So Southwestern Ohio has many venues. We identified a clear geographic gap in the Cincinnati-Dayton corridor for multi-sheet ice facilities. So these are facilities that can host large-scale sports tourism events. So many teams coming in, staying here in Warren County for the weekend for multi-day ice events, basically. We found that 3 of the 5 primary competitors operate only a single sheet, which prevents them from hosting large-scale regional or national tournaments. So we think that there's a significant opportunity from a sports tourism perspective. Secondly, the concert opportunity. So we identified a range of 30...
Can we go back to that for a second, Phil?
Yeah.
So with your opportunity, it's been said a couple of times, and that is one of the realities of dealing with any type of field environment or ice. There's only so many hours in the day and whatever the rate is, correct?
That's correct.
In the pro forma that you didn't create, but you're validating?
Yes.
Where someone's doing low, average, and high, basically? And
Yeah.
everything I've been talking about is the average, not the low. In the pro forma, all activities from ICE is only about 15% of the revenue.
Yes, exactly. So the highest revenue, and I was about to get into the concert opportunity.
Yeah, but I just want to talk about since we were talking about ICE
Sure.
and the importance of that.
Yeah.
That's the number though, right? The ICE is generating about 15% of the total revenue that comes into the facilities.
Yes, that's true. That's largely because these ice tournaments are highly dependent on out-of-party rentals, basically. So groups like One Hockey coming in and renting the facility and putting on those events. So they actually collect all of the revenue associated with entry fees and everything like that. The facility collects ancillary revenues mainly, so rent, and then also concessions and anything else that can be collected. So parking potentially, things like that.
And when you're talking about EBITDA, just so we're all clear, that's the actual net income after you pay everything else of whatever project you're talking about,
Yep.
a business or in this case, this event center, and with the EBITDA being maybe 7.5, maybe up to 8 or 9 million.
Yes.
That's great unless we have $9 million in debt service.
That's correct.
Okay, just
Yes.
want to make sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I can more clarity on that. So our expenses factor in cost of goods sold and overhead costs like utilities, staffing, everything else. So good clarification there. So the concert opportunity. So the concert opportunity has been discussed in depth, but I'll just go over it from what we found. We found a range of 30 to 35 concerts as being available in the market. That is highly dependent on, as we had said, this is an at-risk concert promotion strategy where yes, there's...
If we go back to your first statement, so you said 30 to 35 is acceptable,
Reasonable range.
reasonable.
Yep.
That's not a conservative number, though.
It's a reasonable range. We think 30 is low end, 35 is high end for the reasonable range in our
But-
projections.
So it was characterized earlier as being a conservative number. Victus would not say that, because the things I've read, 35 events concerts is not a conservative number.
We think it's a realistic number.
Okay.
That's what we would say.
What's the difference between realistic and conservative? Realistic sounds to me like it's a number that is not possible, but probable. Is that what you're saying?
I think that it is. I think probable and realistic could be used. Yes, if you have an experienced promoter.
I'm asking you whether your term realistic is a probable number, because realistic could be defined as something that could happen, but is not a probable event. So I'm asking you whether or not your analysis says that your prediction is that that's probable, that that is probably what's going to occur, or is it just a possibility? Do you understand what I'm saying?
I do. So in this business, everything is possible, but it is probable if you get the right promoter in place to be at risk.
I'm hoping that we have that.
Yes. So everything in our report, while we project a reasonable range, everything needs to be executed on. So from a sports operations side, from a concert operations side, everything needs to be executed well to make sure that those revenues are achievable. That being said, in our conversations with ESM, in our conversation with Tim Flaherty, we think that it is probable that they can execute on these things.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
May I add to that?
Yeah.
So I just want to kind of come here, I'm Sonia.
Could you come and
You need to come.
yourself?
Would you like me to come up here?
Yes, you need to.
Sorry. Hi, everybody. So I just want to kind of interject
Can you
because
state your name and?
Sonia Flaherty, I'm with Entertainment Events.
Okay.
Nice to meet you all. So I just wanted to kind of interject because we're talking about the 30 to 35 and if it's achievable. So when we did our analysis, we were looking at the best comparable, you know, in our size, 3,000 to 5,000. So if you're looking at the Brady, which I think is pretty new, I think 2021, I believe they opened. They started with 57 events that year. They're now up over about 150, I believe. I know their second year, so they went from 57 to 84. So it is absolutely achievable based on that model. I know that we're going to be working with dates, but from our perspective, the actual date at this point is not relevant to us because we're going to be given those dates, and we know we have 35 dates to fill. And as Tim was saying, not being on the weekend is not necessarily going to hurt us because we can take those routing opportunities that the other big venues aren't going to be able to take because they're so full. And that helps us negotiate a better rate with the talent as well. So I just wanted to kind of like that 35 to 30. Brady started at 57.
We also have 25 weekends.
He needs you to come to the microphone.
So he was saying that we have 25 weekends to work with. But again, for us, we get the date, we fill it, basically. And really, if we have a year to kind of give us that ramp to kind of get the talent, but we've done it so often and for so many years that we've done it in very condensed
And
timeframes.
I appreciate that, and from our perspective, we haven't done it.
Right.
We've never been in the at-risk concert promotion business.
Yes.
Especially when there's taxpayer guarantees associated with that.
Absolutely.
And so when people use the word conservative versus attainable, realistic,
Mhm.
or what have you, I mean, you go in and Aaron Judge batting 150, that's pretty conservative. Him
Yes.
batting 300, that's attainable.
Yes.
That's not the high end of the range. So when someone said, oh, 35, that's conservative, that's like him batting 150. No, I think that's attainable. Hopefully, keep our fingers crossed, hopefully that is, but that's not a layup. Because again, I've done a fair amount of due diligence talking to the
Yeah,
operators in the area, and 35 events that's not a layup. I mean, that's not like, oh, that's no problem. You've got to work, you guys got to earn your money to do that, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, I just want to establish that. That's not, oh, this conservative, oh, we'll do that with our eyes closed. No, there's real work involved with getting 35 events, correct?
Yes, absolutely, but I want to make sure that
that we do address the saturation question, right? Are there enough people? So, based on our analysis, we were looking at, one of your biggest promoters is Memi, and they run, I think, soon to be 7 venues. So on their own website, they're saying that they have 1 million people coming through the building. So 300, yeah, about 1 million people coming through all their ticket sales. So I think that talks to demand, not saturation.
Sure, and you understand, what's your role with the company, ma'am?
I'm the COO.
Okay, so my hesitation, and again, I always when people say they said it in confidence, I'm not going to say who told me this, but there is a very comparable music venue in the area, I'll say.
Taft?
And I'm not going to say, not Taft. And they said they've never done more than $5 million in revenue. Okay, and established, you know, what, I mean, it is what, and even some of that was in the Victus report, that I didn't bring the entire copy, there's multiple other venues where they give their revenue numbers
Absolutely.
with additional seats.
Mhm.
So I'm just trying, and again, things are tight, like the Victus guy is telling us, 7.5 maybe 9. Those are important numbers because we for sure have 8 to 9 million in debt service. So all of a sudden, you don't bring in 8.4 million in concert revenue. All of a sudden, that's lower. Maybe it is only 5, like one of the other major competitors. That drives directly to that bottom line, and all of a sudden, it's upside down a few $1 million, which again, we're gonna be honestly the first ones getting hit because the senior folks are getting revenue first. It's gonna come on us. So I just want everybody to know, I mean, if these numbers are short, it's government's backstopping the numbers.
Yeah, and I want to be really clear about our role, right? So my lane, right, is can we book 35 events? Based on our research, based on what is being booked and promoters that are doing multiple venues, that tells me that there is enough need, right? There's enough demand. And with the Brady starting at 57 in their first year, that tells me right now that, and I want to stay right in my lane. Can I book 35 shows? Absolutely. I know I can say that without.
But is Brady the best example when it's
about the same size.
Indoor? It's indoor and it's only dedicated to that for the most part.
Well, yes, but I'm looking at size, right? So if I'm going to look at something between 3 and 5, which is pretty unique that Warren County is going to have.
I mean, I just rattled off the PNC Pavilion, the Taft, the Brady Center, the Rose,
The Taft is about
the Miami
23,
Valley
is that
Gaming,
right?
Phrase Pavilion. Those
Yep.
are all right there.
Yeah, so the Taft is a much older building, right? So this is going to be a state-of-the-art, 1923, I believe, or 28. So that's where we're going to kind of gain the advantage, right? We're state-of-the-art. We are that 3 to 5 range, which is unique, right? I know that Taft is 23, and that's why I kind of zoned in on the Brady, because number one, it's new, and it's within our size, right? So you've got that, because we're 3 to 5. I wanted to get something comparable in that way. I know it's not, there's nothing really right here within 35 miles that's going to be.
And I appreciate this, and hopefully the public appreciates this discussion, because this is what this project is about. Victus, you're shaking your head, do you agree? It's all about this.
It's a very important piece of the revenue, absolutely.
Yeah, so, and no offense to the hockey guy, I mean, it's great, I'm supported, it's awesome, but it's such a small percentage of what the numbers are. Is that correct, Victus?
That's correct.
Okay, so that's why I'm trying to really
Absolutely.
peel back the onion to understand conservative, doable, or, man, that's a stretch, you know, and again, we're kind of keeping our fingers crossed. If it all comes in, then we kind of break even from an EBITDA and debt service standpoint. Go, thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
You see,
Any more for me?
my interest in what you're providing to us is a confidence that is more than just, possible, that is more than just maybe it'll happen, but that we're confident with a probability, with a relatively high level of confidence that the revenue stream that you're predicting, that you're doing, is going to work. Because we're investing and putting at risk the public's money, which we care about, obviously. And it's really a little unusual for us to get into this line of business. In fact, we're not in this line of business. We're in the line of business of providing, roads and, services with an engineer and with our auditor and with our treasurer, and we collect tax money, we have court buildings, and that's what government does. Government doesn't put on events like you do. We have no idea how this works or how this revenue stream works. Just zero. So that's why you've got questions that Commissioner Young and I and Commissioner Jones have been asking, because if we invest, and I take it that our risk is like $12.5 million or something like that, but our name is at risk, our brand is at risk, how we function is at risk. The public is they're not going to be challenging you when this goes south.
Yes.
They're going to challenge us. And you guys are going to be on some other project having fun. And we're not going to get voted on. We're not going to be here either then, maybe. So that's why we need to have some confidence in this.
Well, I'm happy to answer any other questions
Yeah,
about the numbers
No, I
or
get
in
it.
my lane.
Andy?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I just want to add one clarifying piece, because it sounds tight when you talk about the revenues and the EBITDA and so on and so forth. This does not include the $1 million to $1.8 million in NCA revenues that'll be coming through the facility too. Without a doubt, granted, tied to the development, we think we're pretty conservative with that in terms of the phase out, but I just want to make sure that was clear that, when you talk about those numbers, that they're discussing.
Which is a fair point, yeah, because,
that's all.
and that's where, when I think you and I had a discussion about that it was basically, when I was looking at them, it was upside down, even in this best case scenario, or not best case, in the most likely scenario, it was $200,000 or $300,000.
That's right.
Underneath.
Yeah,
Is that a
that's
fair
correct, yeah.
statement?
Yep.
But then I wasn't factoring in this new community authority that, again, Warren County didn't set up. Apparently, the city of Middletown set that up.
Yeah.
And a TIF.
And the TIF revenue.
Does it
that's right,
include the TIF revenue?
Yeah. So,
Well, and here's the thing too. I mean, I think a very important part of government is to facilitate economic development. And we do it in a lot of different ways. And this is a way to do it, because we're generating and driving people to spend money in our county, to go to hotels in our county, to generate business in our county, which generates tax revenue through sales tax. And so it actually is giving us, and then gives, business to the hotels, business to the restaurants, business in the community, which is what makes a community thrive. So that's why I'm interested in this project. That's why I think it's a very interesting project for us to be involved in.
Although there is an argument that when government gets involved with getting into something that's typically done by the private sector, that's providing an unfair competition and the detriment to the private sector that risk their own capital to go do this, and now government's stepping in to do it, and that's another
So that's an
factor.
argument. That's an argument too. I agree with that.
Please
I want to
continue
make
on.
sure you finish your presentation.
All great points being brought up. Commissioner Grossman, my last point was going to be on the economic impact potential of a facility like this. So of course, there is new money coming into the area given concerts and things like that, but particularly on the sports tourism side of things, we specialize in this industry nationwide, and sports tourism can be a really significant economic development tool for many communities, towns, counties, cities, states. These new attendees are coming into your county limits, and they're spending their money here on hotels, restaurant spending, retail spending, and having the mixed use development surrounding the facility. We think that it positions Warren County to benefit greatly
Yeah,
from this.
and I had that discussion with your boss.
Yeah.
And that is a very reasonable position to take, especially for certain communities. That certain communities where they don't have tourism going on, where they need the economic activity, they're willing to take a chance, they need people coming and doing it. That's not exactly us. Tourism's our number one industry already. We have people coming through here.
But we
so-
don't have a venue that can extend our season, and that's what really this provides us for the first time, is we have, over the last 15 years or so, developed this sports tourism industry. It really runs about 5 or 6 months or so, and having that strong corpus and brand that we've developed along with the Convention and Visitors Bureau, this venue gives us the opportunity to now go from a 5-month tourism window to a 12-month tourism window on the sports tourism side. And, you know, allows for the private sector to look at investment in this area differently than a hotel that, say, is busy 5 months out of the year, as opposed to potentially a hotel that could be busier for more than that. And so, you know, that to me is like, yes, we have a strong brand and a strong reputation. And your point about execution is not lost on me, and I think it's a valid one. You're saying, yes, it's reasonable to assume that we'll have 30 to 35 concerts or events in this facility based on your market analysis, but we still have to execute that. So we know that we have this strong regional brand in tourism and other things that we're going to build on potentially and expand that window.
Sure, absolutely. And the point of execution, I can't reiterate enough. These are industry professionals with a proven track record at executing. And so that's, you know, we offer our independent third-party opinion on their abilities. And, you know, that's
so you're not just looking at the numbers, then you're actually taking into consideration these individual entities, their experience, their expertise, their track record,
yes,
into your evaluation of the project.
Yes.
What, in your report, I wish I would have brought the whole report to me, obviously there was a lot of due diligence done with other players, not just the ones that are now contracted to do work here.
Sure.
What was the response with Live Nation, who's the #1 provider? What was the response with the #2 provider when they talked about another music venue in Southwest Ohio?
Yes. So we conduct these studies across the country, and when we interview potential competitors, we commonly get a common response, which is that the market can be saturated, but they have an interest in protecting their business. The interesting thing is, if there's potential booking arrangements to be arranged at a new facility, you might see these promoters' tune sort of change if they're able to get into that building, basically. So they noted that the market was crowded. That being said, that's a response that we're used to given that Live Nation would be interested in protecting their business in the region, basically.
Yeah, I think the word was saturated.
Yeah.
Is what they used in one of their other competitors. So,
sure.
And again, that's why when I reeled the list of.
They're not known as being pro-free market, though.
Understood.
Yeah.
When you have, and again, that's the argument of free market, and now government's getting in it and competing with these other 10 or 12 venues that already exist.
Sure. Mr. Jones, if I would say one thing that I sent out to everybody, including Victus, there's a study that just came out in late 2025 in the concert industry, said that the mid-sized concert venue is the new sweet spot in the industry. The people quoted in that article is Live Nation, AEG, AEM. They all have gone, they're building 11 mid-sized venues, the same venues that weighed in on the Victus support. So just want to know that this mid-sized venue is the hot spot in the industry.
Yeah, and you know what, on the whole point of government, I mean, this is not, the facility obviously is being built, but it's being financed primarily by the private sector. And we government people are all the time trying to generate economic development and giving special deals to companies. That doesn't make us in competition. I mean, we give tax exempt status to people on property taxes for up to 15 years. Sometimes we give I'm not saying that Warren County does this, but there are governments that give nice, they buy land and then they sell the land for maybe under market to bring them in, because they're looking at the generation of their revenue through those developments. And here, you know, this is a very interesting project that I think enhances Warren County and its visibility and brings in more traffic and more visibility, more people, more economic development for all the people that are gonna be servicing this. So but I'm most interested in your analysis that ultimately you believe, because fundamentally, I want the project to financially work. I want the bonds to be paid, and I don't wanna put the public purse at large risk. That's what I don't wanna do. That was the focus of my questions today, is what is our risk? It doesn't make me feel good if it's realistic or it's possible. What I wanna know is that the numbers in the pro forma with all of this are more than just possible, that they're probable, that we think that this so in other words, and I know that when this goes out to the market to sell these bonds, that these are private people that are gonna be investing in this. And they're gonna look at all these numbers. They're not gonna invest in this. We're not gonna get the money unless they believe that this is a good investment. Is that right?
Yes, absolutely.
And do you believe this is a good investment? Are you able to say that, or you can't say that?
I'm not able to give an
Yeah,
investment.
I thought maybe you could.
Yeah.
But okay.
That being
If you
said.
said yes, I'd let you get out your checkbook.
But I do think your question, Commissioner, is one that maybe Andy could provide some insight into. And what I mean, Andy, is, you know, the whole, as I've understood through our conversations over the last 6 months or so, is, you know, the coverage ratio is that which is, you know, is gonna provide some confidence level and a backstop, if you will, for a portion of it for investors. So when you package this deal to then go to the marketplace, we know kind of right away either if the market thinks this is something that is going to happen or not. I mean, they're gonna be evaluating all the same things we're evaluating, and then either buy or take a pass, no?
That's a correct statement, yeah. I mean, so they're gonna do the same exact things, you know, tear into the report, look at the professionalism of the folks providing those reports and their past history, look at other facilities as well, and then.
So when you do that and there's additional information that's required, so Barclays asked for additional information, was that correct?
They wanted, yes, they did, and that's.
So are you familiar with the Show Boss report?
Yeah.
Are you?
Vaguely.
Yeah, your boss wasn't.
Yeah.
And so Show Boss is not in this business. And that was something that we engaged, we, being Warren County Port Authority, engaged this organization to do a validation, and that was provided to Barclays to show that, you know, that this is all valid, and here's another concert promoter. In reality, they do LED video walls, and somehow we use them in a report to Barclays that's gonna go to investors. Are you comfortable with that, Andy?
Look, I'm comfortable with the fact that there's been so many different eyes on these projections, from a lot of different viewpoints. And I feel like, you know, originally when we were ready to go with Barclays, and they came back and said, no, we want to you know, retest a couple of these components, specifically, you know, the concert area. So, you know, we could go out and get a fourth, you know, study if we wanted to. It would drag us down in terms of time and things of that nature, but I don't think it's really necessary. To Commissioner Jones' question or point, you know, as we get to the market's going to dictate whether or not they want to step in and invest in these bonds. And, you know, that really is the ultimate indicator of whether this is going to go forward or not.
Sure, and that's a fair point. I appreciate that perspective. From my perspective, I look at $25 million of taxpayer money really being at risk, and a reputational risk to the issuer, which is the Warren County Port Authority, which I'm not exactly sure how we got so deep in the middle of this. It really wasn't our fault.
And I don't take this things lightly either. You know, working in the industry for 28 years, you know, when we're working with clients that are looking at a project, our job is to try to make sure it's done the right way to the best of its ability that it's gonna pay. There's never a guarantee on anything, right? I mean, who would ever thought COVID was coming along, and how many times that has really put to hurt on a lot of different projects. But to the best that we can, set this up in a way that we believe that the investors are gonna partake in it and wanna invest in it to get the project off the ground and constructed. So.
I think we've heard everything.
Thank you.
Anything else you'd like to add?
No, I think in a roundabout way, it's all been covered.
Absolutely.
Thanks
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Is there anybody else here? Todd, I'm sorry, I'm gonna ask you to come back up because I've been thinking a lot about this, and you're the only person who happens to be in this room who may have an opinion about this, and you may not, and that's okay too. But, you know, originally when we agreed to help finance the studies for this project, as you know, we were looking at a different location for the redevelopment of the town mall, and there was not a price at which the buyer, or the seller and the buyer could come to an agreement, and so that property remains just a huge loss in terms of economic development activity, I think, for the community. So the city of Middletown offered up this alternative site, and you've been working to develop the larger area around this arena. And so what I'm wondering is, you know, in your estimation your reputation and your company's reputation is really strong in providing high-value, unique developments in this, you know, area. So I'm curious about what a project like this, and I'm not just talking about the arena, I'm talking about the whole development, does in terms of putting pressure on this other location at the town mall to get that redeveloped.
So let me repeat your question just to make sure I understand it, Commissioner Jones. You're curious what working on.
I want to get that place redeveloped.
The mall.
The mall redeveloped.
I think, you know, I saw Ashley walk in, and I think Paul is here. From my perspective, because you asked for my opinion, we think this supports and will significantly help the mall redevelopment. Getting activity right around that node of I-75, whether it's east side or west side, is somewhat agnostic to me, because they're both right there. And so activity in my world begets activity. So I think having this development launch and be successful will absolutely help them all. Is that your question?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, that's just lost economic opportunity for the city of Middletown and certainly for the county, since, you know, that's the opportunity for sales tax, which is the biggest, you know, piece of our budget, and it's the one that we're actually trying to grow. I mean, that's the whole impetus for being involved in sports tourism and tourism generally, is to develop that secondary and tertiary economic development activity to increase sales tax revenues. And so, you know, I was disappointed that, plus it's just a terrible eyesore, and, you know, comes with other social challenges, being the way it is. And so I know that the city of Middletown wants to have it redeveloped too. So, you know, at the end of the day, it's like, okay, we didn't get the site that originally we wanted. There's this alternative site, but does it
In
help?
my opinion, there's no question. I wish I had, you know, could tell you my job was really sophisticated and I'm really good at it. I'm not sure any of that's true, but what I can tell you is interstates really matter in what I do, and activity really matters. And with the activity that we've currently got going on the site, and if the arena moves forward, I don't think there's any question in my mind that will significantly help the mall redevelopment.
And so in terms of then the level of development, meaning the types of tenants can you just talk a little bit about if you were to develop this, you are gonna develop this property one way or the other.
We're committed.
With or without the arena.
We're going forward.
So talk to me about what the development difference is. I mean, you said you and your partners are personally guaranteeing $25 million. So you must believe in this, but.
We believe in it.
What is talk to me about what gets developed with the arena versus, and I know you're in conversations, I'm not asking for names, but is there a difference?
There is a huge difference, and it goes back to my original statement of whether you have a huge destination amenity like this or some kind of anchor tenant. We can all know who some of those anchor tenants are. They're big boxes, et cetera. Those grocery stores, those draw huge amounts of people. And when people come into this site, and I think the projections are a couple 100,000 people, as I recall, coming into this site for the arena. That creates, without question, a different quality of user. We're gonna develop this site regardless, and if the arena, let's say, doesn't move forward, I think we will still be successful, but the quality of user, probably the pace of the development will slow, and it'll be a different type of user. It'll be, I suspect, similar to what you see up and down 75, which is nice developments. There's nothing wrong with it. If the arena comes in, as the Invictus gentleman said, if there's great execution around that, with all those people coming, that becomes the anchor, the destination amenity that then gives us the ability to up our game in terms of quality. So specifically, we get a fair amount of calls and interest for people wanting to be here on our side. I don't do anything with the arena. And at this point, we're largely holding off on some couple key pieces of land. There's a boulevard at entry here. We could have sold that 18 months ago if we wanted to, but our commitment to the county and to the city is that we will be very selective with your all input in terms of what we put there, because if the arena is a go, we think we can elevate our game, quality, etc.
Making it more of a destination.
More of a destination, more unique benefit to county and city residents.
And then thereby adding increasing the likelihood around the other parcels, around that interchange, really, like the town mall and so forth.
No question, I think it impacts both sides unquestionably, in my opinion.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak on this? I know, I appreciate everybody's input, and I know that when we had this discussion, 6 weeks ago or so, I don't even time, I know you all expressed a need for us to make a decision. We're kind of the last piece of the puzzle, because if I'm not mistaken, Andy, Middletown's already agreed to their portion of the coverage ratio, or the 12.5 million.
They still have to pass their legislation.
I'm sorry?
They still have to pass their legislation.
They still have to pass their legislation. What's that?
I think they verbally committed.
They verbally committed, because I know they were here last time, and are they? I'm sorry.
Thank you, Commissioners. My name is Paul Lawley. I'm currently a Middletown City Council member, and I was the city manager at the onset of this project. I can tell you, in discussions with all 5 city council members, we have taken a straw vote to vote yes to do our part in backstopping what we're asking you to do also. So all we're waiting now is for Warren County to make their decision, and then we'll move forward on putting this into legislation and such. And I also want to make sure Middletown's commitment to this has gone far beyond the nearly $18.9 million we have invested in the project right now. We have committed the infrastructure to make sure this project will get off on the right foot. Not only the public works infrastructure, but also public safety infrastructure. We built a new firehouse and staffed it right across the street from the Renaissance Point project. We've increased our staffing for our police patrols, for our fire coverage, and other public works infrastructure. That Middletown is totally 100% committed in the success of this Renaissance Point project.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Councilman, and you guys are all in. Is there, can you help me understand why you're not issuing the bonds?
That is something I'm gonna have to let Andy, because I really wasn't part of that discussion in the way they wanted to set up and go about that. My assistant city manager was really involved with Andy and his team in getting all that part of it set up.
Okay.
It really just started with the Warren Port is where it evolved out of. And so, in terms of issuer, it could be really, anybody, the Middletown Port, NCA over there, or the Warren County Port Authority.
Yeah, I'm just not perfectly clear on how it morphed from, and again, I appreciate where the city's coming from, and this is an important project to you. You have stepped up, you've made commitments, you're donating land, you're doing the infrastructure, you're writing checks. I get it, 100%. But from our perspective, I don't want to say our, from my perspective, it seems like it's your project, but yet it's going to be owned by the Warren County Port, and it's even a separate discussion. Almost we'll say my new friend Lee and I had this conversation that spent a lot of time on the phone together, that it's a separate question on, do we potentially want to backstop and invest in your project? Well, that's a question that's open in my mind. And again, my colleagues it seems like they have a different perspective. That might be something that it's but when it's our project, we own it, and it's Warren County's name on the bonds. And if something goes south, it's Warren County's reputational risk. That honestly is in some ways one of my biggest problems, as opposed to, I get what the city's doing, I applaud you, and no criticisms at all. But I have serious reservations on the performance of this. This is not the business we're in.
Yeah, I mean, we weren't in the business of a sports complex either, but the Port Authority did that, and I think we've made a pretty good go of it. So, I mean, I think this has been a really great conversation, as it's been, all the way through. I think it's just a question of, there's no additional information.
I'm fine making a decision if you're asking me. Yeah, I'm fine. And no, first thing I'll say, I appreciate my colleagues letting me come back, and I apologize to everybody that was there.
We didn't let you, we
get
value
involved.
your input.
You let me get involved. That day, it was literally a surgery that
Well, we
the
wanted
only
you,
thing that
we
kept me
wanted
from
you
it.
to.
Yeah, we
So,
wanted you involved.
So we're kind of answering the question, and read the room pretty good, that here is my reservations that have existed and hopefully have been announced. And I appreciate everybody's expertise and demeanor in coming across. I appreciate any developer that's coming into town and writing big checks and investing in the county. Thank you, we appreciate that. But I also realize the project, when government in whatever form comes and does a $125 million project in the middle of it, it makes it a heck of a lot more attractive, period. I mean, that's I don't think I'm going out on a limb there. This was presented to the board, and a statement in public was said, let's commit these ARPA dollars to go do a study on does this work, and this will help us leverage private dollars to go get this, see if there's an appetite for that. Turned out those were the dollars that were funded along with other dollars, to where there's over $7 million worth of money that's already invested in the project from the taxpayers. It was supposed to be, as Commissioner Jones said, at the Town Mall Center, a redevelopment project there. Then the location changed with, our Port Authority just went and started doing these things. And again, kind of shame on me or us. I didn't know a lot of this, and then I've been trying to educate myself. It was supposed to be a private-public partnership. There's an argument that says it is, with the public sector buying the debt. That's not the way I would define this. There was a discussion that there was going to be no public dollars actually at risk. That was the way it was all the way until last fall. And now we've learned there's actually almost $25 million at risk. And it's all supposed to be about sports tourism, which I'm a huge fan of and think it's great. But as we see, this, and it's been admitted to by every speaker, the revenue model of this event center isn't based on sports tourism. I mean, there's ancillary benefits to the city and to the county for having a couple 100,000 folks or whatever it is that come through. But the county is about to get in the concert promotion business. And I'm fine to discuss it, and I have serious reservations about this. I have, since I've learned about the price tag and how much this is going to be. I do not fault my colleagues for doing their own due diligence on this, but with the facts that I know and the competitive landscape that I know, I do not support this.
So is that time for us to talk about it?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I have always been, always concerned about what is the proper role of government and things like this. And when I was on Mason City Council, we purchased a golf course. I didn't really think golf was necessarily a part of the public business. But we did that because we wanted to preserve the property around the tennis tournament, and we wanted to promote that area. And then we got an option here in Warren County to get property from Otterbein, and we put up a whole bunch of soccer fields and baseball fields. I don't know if we're in the baseball and soccer business, but we're integral in making that all happen. We wanted to keep the tennis tournament in Warren County, in Mason. We committed a lot of our resources to make that happen. We're not in the tennis business. We're not in the soccer business or the baseball business. We're not going to be in the hockey business. But we are in the business of helping our county to grow, to helping our county have increased sales tax revenue. It appears to me that we may be entirely reliant on sales tax revenue at some time in the future, given the fact that there's a great deal of impetus to get rid of property taxes the way we now know them. So while I don't think that government should be running the hockey business or event center business, I do believe that we can make investments in our community to help grow business and sales revenue and help all of our businesses in the county with projects like this, and that's why I would vote for it.
Well, I think this has been a really great conversation. I appreciate both of my colleagues and their expertise that they bring to bear. And I really respect all of those who've been here on numerous occasions, not just in public session, but have attended a lot of meetings, and I've gotten to know all of you, and love so much that you all think as highly of Warren County as I do. I agree with Commissioner Grossman here that we're not going to be in the business per se of running concerts or hockey league, but we are in the business of doing some unique things to create opportunities for those things to flourish that really ultimately end up benefiting our constituents, our residents, our community. And so I have, as my colleagues know, I have been very concerned about the pressures on property taxes. And I think it would be prudent on our half to look at how do we, in an environment where we may not have the property tax revenue for which we used to fund our services, that we look to expanding what currently exists in the sales tax. And so having these parcels of land as we continue to develop out along the interstate to be unique, to be destinations, not only serve the purpose of providing amenities for the people who live there, but provide some relief for the people who live here in collecting the sales tax revenue from people who live outside of the county. And so for that reason, as many others, I think it's a good project. I'm excited about the project. And you all know that all of us will be watching like hawks to ensure that we meet and exceed what the independent validator has said about this project. So I will side with Commissioner Grossman on this, and look forward to continuing the work. I don't know if there's an expectation of a resolution.
Crystal has, or, sorry.
There is a resolution that Crystal has, but I don't support you signing this resolution in its entirety. First of all, it provides for approving a credit support program application, and that's what you need to do today. But it goes on to approve and authorize the execution and delivery of a cooperative agreement. I don't recall seeing a cooperative
Yeah.
agreement. If
So can
I
we-
did,
can we-
maybe I did, it's been 6 weeks. And perhaps we could adjust the language in the body of the resolution, but I don't see a reason why that couldn't be brought back next Tuesday. And if it was
We're not
approved,
here
then
next
why is it
Tuesday.
not a part of this resolution?
What's that? I'm sorry, but what's that?
If a cooperative agreement has been reviewed and approved by the prosecutor's office, why is it not a part of this resolution?
I'll have to double check, but I thought there was one that was sent over to you from Matt before he left, but I'll double check on that. But it could be,
Well, I don't think we need to approve the cooperative agreement. I think what we need to do is to approve the funding piece of it.
The approval of the application is what's the issue before the
Yeah.
board today. And yes, approving the credit support program application is sufficient for the title for you to move forward today.
Okay, so then the motion is to approve the application for the credit support program.
Happy to make that motion.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Jones?
Yes,
Mr. Grossman?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
No.
great,
Thank you, John.
thank you. Martin, is there anything else to bring before the commission?
I have nothing else further today.
Bruce, anything else?
No.
Make a motion to
Okay.
adjourn.
Yes, adjourn, yes, thank you. Thank you, everyone.